feel like it's a better fit, Ryan. I feel like she fits better there.
Oh, she does. But I was just responding to the question someone asked in the chat because I guess not everybody saw it that way.
Wait, I forgot. Did he come up with a new AG pick yet? I felt like.
Yes, Pam Bondi.
Oh yeah. Yeah, forgot. Yeah.
I'm not trying to be funny. I ask you all a question. Why do y'all have so many, bots in your room? Why are LGBT so anti-Russia? I don't know where that came from. Or earlier, somebody was saying it was something about trans ideology. And I've been thinking about this for the past about 24 hours or so. Has anybody else thought of this way? You got this lady, Nancy Mace, running around the halls of Congress, and she's putting up fake trans flags on things. Not the real trans flags, like stuff that she clearly printed from her printer, staging trans crime scenes around bathrooms. And the more I think about this, the more I came to realize I spend about 2 to 5 minutes of my day in a public restroom at any given time. Why are we arguing about 2 to 5 minutes of a day? I'm not trying to be funny when I say that. It's literally 2 to 5 minutes of our days that each of us are spending in public restrooms. Why is this a central point of discussion, and why is nobody calling it out for how absolutely asinine it is?
You said this individual was doing what now? Printing pictures and doing what?
Okay, so she printed pictures of trans flags as if somebody would actually take the time to do that, who was LGBTQIA. No shade. A bitch would just actually go get the real flag and put it up. It would have made a much better thing. Nobody did that. She just kind of staged it herself. You have to go look her up. Her name is Nancy Mace. Because for some reason we're like in the age of people doing content everywhere. Because at this point that's what it is. I'm just going to call it what it is. Like, people aren't actually governing. They're doing content. They want to be entertainers. These are the artists with no art form that Toni Morrison told us would be dangerous. And I've been thinking about this bathroom conversation. I've been thinking about the fact that people essentially want trans men who, many of them look totally like cis men, right? So you going to the women's restroom and vice versa. But overall, all in all, we're talking about 5 minutes of time that we each spend in our day, right? Nobody in this room is spending 30 minutes and upwards in a public restroom at any given time, right? Throughout the day, we all go in, we all leave immediately, like nobody's really trying to be in there. So we're literally having conversations based on 5 minutes of our collective time. Do you get what I'm saying?
No, I hear what you're saying, Misty. I think my issue is, I think what you're doing is appealing to rationalism, or that people are rational. I don't think people can. No, I before you push back, I'm just saying. Because I'm with you 100%. I just don't feel like. Because this is something I thought about as well. I was talking about it recently about media amplification, where you take a particular pin issue, right? Or they have another name for it, and you leverage it and you amplify it to the point where people think that it's a bigger issue than it actually really is. So I agree with you 100%. It's dumb, it's stupid. Why is it a concern? I have people who I know who are homophobic who actually voted for Trump because of the that one specific issue, the reference. And I mean, so I feel like what I'm saying is, what is the appropriate strategy? Because I don't feel like we're going to be able to pull people back with rational or logic when they didn't arrive at that conclusion through logic or rational.
The reason I was getting to it because I was thinking about the rules, the policy in the House about behavior, because that sounds like actionable behavior that should be worked out like immediately. I don't know if they should sanction her or what, because it sounds like harassment, man. Just keep it real.
Yeah, I don't think Mike Johnson's going to sanction her because, it's good for television. It's good for television. Or, the small televisions in your pockets. I'll say this, Ryan. I think that once the irrational behavior becomes materialized in public action, I think that's when people will realize how irrational it is. It's been my argument the entire time. Like, once these things start to traumatize people, then people will start to realize how irrational the positioning is. Once actual people, right, going into the women's restroom, because that's where y'all focus seems to be. It doesn't seem to be on transmit at all, which already shows the sort of double standard, right? But once women are being, asked by male police officers to pull down their pants and prove that they have a vagina, is when people will understand how irrational it is. And it will be no moment before that the most irrational on this topic will understand it. That's when I think the most irrational people on this topic will understand how irrational it is. Because they're going to have to experience at some point in time somebody else, some other woman telling them to drop their drawers, right? Or going to get a police officer to get them to drop their drawers and prove that they have a vagina. And that's when people are going to understand how irrational it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to say one more thing.
Let me ask you a question. You're supervisor, right? No, maybe she's not listening.
She might not be there. But yeah, I was just gonna say, Misty. Because as I said, this is something I'm particularly vested in. Not so much even trans as homophobia. And I'm having this debate right now with a few people in my home country about homophobia and why it's irrational and why being homophobic doesn't benefit us as a nation. And that's not even getting to trans. I'm not even. They're not even ready for the trans conversation yet. But that's the thing. It's like there's fear, and it's unjustified. And the fact that is actually unjustified doesn't change the fact that people have the fear, right? So if you look into the psychology of it, it's the same thing. Like flights. Like flight is one of the safest way for people to make transportation. But for some reason, it's intuitive because of control and, fear that people think that, the likelihood of ending up in a plane or a helicopter accident is actually much more likely than a car accident, which is 500 times more likely to happen. And the same thing, even within auto, you're more likely to end up in an accident by turning left than you are by actually speeding. But for some reason, all of these fears that people have,
because of his cost basis, would he be able to show his profits or returns? It's gonna be nuts, man. It's gonna be nuts.
Here's the thing too, that all the people who are the 1X nav bears, which Dave, you're one of those. Basically, like, what you have to answer for is, why does the premium exist now?
I'm actually not one of those, huh?
Okay. Why does the premium exist now, though?
There should be a premium. I just think the premium is too high.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the appropriate premium?
Under 2.
1.2, 1.8?
Yeah, somewhere in that range. Probably depends a little bit.
Yeah, I think.
And why should why should the premium be half as much? What's the reasoning?
Well, why shouldn't it? I guess would be my question. Like, what?
Why shouldn't it be half as much? No, it currently. No, Dave. What I'm saying though is here, The market has already priced it. So why is that price incorrect? It's you who has to answer, not me.
I think the market is priced incorrectly because it's a smaller market cap.
The market prices at a number of different things.
Never mind. Michael, we have a rule in here. Like, if somebody's asked a question directly, you just let the other guy answer.
I gotta go. So think through this, and I'll be back.
I mean, I think for me, the big open question is, what will Bitcoin's use case be in the future? And does having, 500,000 to 1 million Bitcoin, is that something that will be particularly useful in some way that we're not able to conceptualize today? And I think that's the best justification for a premium on MicroStrategy, because I'm not confident that they'll be able to, increase their Bitcoin per share by 3x. But I feel like there probably will be some use case going forward that we're not really thinking of right.
Large percentage of IRS agents are actually behind in their taxes. That's fucked up too. I'm just saying that they hired Canada's just messed up. They hired 1,000 new CRA agents just to follow up with the average Canadian to try to steal a few pennies.
They hire people that can't even speak English. CRA calls me and thought they were a fucking scammer from India. Tell them to fuck off.
Oh, really?
We had the same thing here, Reno.
No, I know.
And I think for us it's 75,000 they hired, and I guess those are the ones that Trump is gonna fire. I heard because they want to I heard about that because they're
they
what
really
are they
need
gonna
to
do?
reform this shit. The taxation system is stupid. And the fact that the taxation system shouldn't be so complicated that you can't figure out how to do it. That's just ridiculous. And then to penalize you if you miss something because you're not an accountant, that's retarded.
I actually don't mind the tax system. If you're smart, just if you understand it, it's not that bad.
Yeah, I understand it, but it's still stupid and it's complicated. It's unnecessarily complicated here, as well as in the United States. In Australia, I did Australian taxes 1 year, and it was not complex at all. And I just think that, the taxation system should be straightforward, that anyone can do it. It shouldn't be super complex with super, complex formulas that the average person can't figure out. It's just nonsensical, especially if you make every single citizen responsible for their own taxes.
That's we have corporate tax rates 12%, even 9% for some circumstances. It's that's pretty good. It's better than America.
For Canada?
Yeah,
I
Canadian
thought they increased it.
No, it's 12% for a small business. If you're making under $500,000 a year in your business.
Yeah, but the big businesses left because they raised the corporate taxes. There's been a export immigration of corporate headquarters from Canada.
Yeah, but if you're making under 500K.
Looking at multiples and traditional valuation metrics, they just seem silly, and so you just say just disregard it, but then it just persists, and it can persist for a very, very long time. So and then you just have to choose whether or not you want to participate in it, because it is a little silly. But the world is silly sometimes.
I just don't understand how some of you niggas don't believe.
Well, I don't need to believe in Michael Saylor. I believe in myself.
Bro. Nigga, you were begging to be on his boat. Like, you introduced me, bro. You cursing
Aaron,
everybody.
I hope you're jotting down notes, Aaron.
Look, I'm just saying I believe in myself.
You were cursing everybody out. How dare you don't introduce me? You need to introduce me to Michael Saylor, bro.
It's not how I'm genuinely disappointed in their failure to understand how they can be useful to Michael Saylor. Because I think so. He's MIT Aerospace on his bio. It's like, have you guys not heard this? Like, did you not figure it out? Like what Huddle said? It's be useful to extremely wealthy people. It's really fucking simple. None of you are used. Like, I see people going up to him at a conference like, oh, can I get your autograph? Can I get a photo with you? Like, I guess, yeah, he's into the dopamine of that, but you're not being that useful when you do that. Like, all these fucking simps in the replies, Elon Musk or whoever.
But specifically you would be more useful to Michael Saylor than anybody else around him. That's what you're saying.
Of course. Just like I'm useful to you, Jimmy. You're welcome.
Oh, you're useful to me.
Yeah.
You trying to shake me out of my MSTR position.
He serves as a punching bag, Jimmy. he's your professional punching bag.
By the way, and I forget who it was who was talking about the future financial uses of this Bitcoin hoard. You know, Bitcoin has unique characteristics. Yeah, just because it is large. Well, I think Joseph realized that it's not just the size of it, because you have to look into Bitcoin's unique value not just that it's large, because like you have BNY Mellon, for context, that has $2 trillion in assets that it manages, and its market cap is 50 billion. So just because you have a lot of assets under management doesn't mean there's infinite money.
Wait.
And BNY doesn't own those assets.
Yeah, BNY, look. Listen to what you're saying, Aaron. Being responsible of somebody else's money is very different than you owning the assets. Do you understand that?
Yeah, of course.
So it's like that's not analogous.
Yeah, the parallel. How many assets do they own at BNY? Well,
they don't have much. They don't have much on their balance sheet.
Yeah, but even what BlackRock, how much does it own on its own behalf?
BlackRock also doesn't have a lot of their own.
Fannie Mae, probably. But that's a weird situation because their profits are swept. Anyway, I'm sure there's many examples of companies with lots of assets that trade at parity or slight premium. Nothing extraordinary.
Aaron, what do you think of my $121 tax refund for every American payable only in Bitcoin Lightning instead of a strategic reserve of 1 million Bitcoin?
You're gonna give everyone a Sats card.
Just tell everyone to download,
Sats card airdrop going across America.
No, you don't want to do that because then they just won't use more methods.
Some of these people, they don't have internet access. You have, we dealt with this with checks. You got to mail out a physical check to every single person. You have to have the whole administration making sure that everyone gets the paper check. Got to make sure the Sats cards, physical Sats cards.
You have to make sure it gets out
to the grandma in the middle of Iowa. Farming.
The fact that not everyone collects it is a good thing, because it means it costs less. So 1 million Bitcoin at $1 million each is $1 trillion, versus $121 per American is $42 billion. So if only half of them collect it, it's $21 billion. To teach every American about Bitcoin, and then all those Americans themselves start stacking. That's the real reserve. Just tell them download a Lightning wallet, send us an address. Have Strike, be the contractor for it to manage it all.
What did we learn yesterday? Tether makes $10 billion a year in profit and is valued at 20. And it has 130 billion in assets.
It was valued at 12 the last time they went after investment.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. Why is it valued so low to their earnings?
Yep.
It feels more strategic than anything, in my opinion.
I think it's because they haven't done a raise in a while, no? Like they're not public, so that's probably just the last valuation.
Well, they also didn't need that money. That's why I'm saying it's.
Yeah, so Visa has about 20 billion or a little less earnings per year. Just that's net. Is net income the same as earnings? Yeah. So a little under 20 billion. Their market cap is about 600. So based on that, ballpark estimate would be 300 billion for Tether.
And I also think that there was that recent announcement today about them, Cantor starting to consider Bitcoin, quote unquote, safe assets, which, in my opinion, explains the strategic relationship between them and Tether a bit more, and why
What assets?
why it would be.
What assets? Can you explain this?
Here, let me try to pull up the tweet. I also have been on a plane, so I haven't been able to really look into. I just put the tweet that I saw in the nest, or not the nest, in the chat. So I haven't really looked into it, but safe collateral, that's what I meant to say.
Yo, I went into a room with Ethan on accident. I think I added him.
That's good. Then I'll make it back in this room at some point.
I joined in. He was like, wait, this is one of the people from that crypto room. And then I left to join here.
This is going to be like his thing for a month, being a trauma victim. Oh, that's wild, though. He called us crypto people. That's messed up.
Mm,
Yep.
I'll take care.
I feel like he's bullying us now,
Safe
calling
travel.
us a bunch of shitcoiners.
I'm tempted to go
We'll
back.
have to
There.
let
It's
him know
probably a
next
waste of
time.
time.
That sort of bullying is not acceptable.
Take care.
Fortress Trust LLC serves as trustee of Swan accounts. The purpose of this letter is to notify Swan customers that Fortress Trust is resigning as the trustee and custodian of Swan accounts, and a new successor, Backed Crypto Solutions, has been elected to provide future offerings. Our resignation is effective as of December 20th.
I asked P if Scott Purcell also owned back. He said no.
Why are they always switching custodians?
Just, they always go on bankrupt like 2 weeks after.
Who, the custodians?
Yeah. You don't remember Prime Trust?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Isn't Trump trying to buy it back?
Was that the one that he was trying to buy?
Yeah, DJT, I think was, or maybe these other companies.
I think that sounds familiar, yeah. Jimmy, you still a fan of Swan?
Let me see. 100% fanboy till I die.
Good.
Still DCA $1.50 a day, Playboy. I got a gajillion UTXOs, Playboy.
So I'm gonna cap that 150,000 sats I owe you. I'm capping it. You can't just cash in at fucking, when Bitcoin's 200,000. Okay, I'm capping it at $100,000 price point. So 150 US dollar capping it at.
Okay,
so
I'll give you my Bitcoin wallet.
All right. Do you have me on Twitter?
Nope.
Let me see if I have you. So just Jimmy Toussaint?
I believe so. Let me see. I don't even know, Playboy. Yes, it is.
I didn't see it.
I just posted another in the chat, but it looks like it's $2 billion lending program.
There are a bunch of fake versions of you.
Are there?
There's one that's 10 followers. It just says 80.
Is that my picture?
I don't know.
But no. The only one that's mine is the one that has my picture.
Here, I'll put my.
We gotta have mutual fucking followers or friends or some shit.
Yo, Jimmy, I was telling them I just ended up in that room with that Ethan guy by accident again.
Are you serious? Where's he talking?
Yeah, I added him.
Nice. Should have asked him where he went, bro.
You want me to go get him? Bring him back here?
Come through, son.
Alright, in the chat, I posted a tweet that Teddy tagged me in. Just click through that and just send me a message.
What you said? Oh. Bro, we have a message history, bro. You hit me up in 2022, son. Stop playing, son. Bro, we're literally already following each other, bro.
Alright, I see you now.
Oh, why's the price of Bitcoin crashing? We're below 96.
Rational reaction towards it, right? Specifically, in this case, I mean, I understand it's a very contentious issue, and no matter what I say, it was bound to piss off a few people. But what I was actually speaking to earlier is, I mean, there's obviously.
Yep. That's the real.
The price doesn't mean anything until you sell.
It directly impacts how much I can acquire. So yeah, it does not.
Yeah, on the other side of the trade.
Do you have any pictures of your van, Michael?
Yeah, you want to buy it?
No, I just want to see what it looks like.
There's a YouTube video of it. Just search 1800 watt espresso machine van life and you'll find it. Dude, I think the problem with selling a van like this is that the market's very bifurcated. It's either someone who's like super broke and is looking for like a 15K van, or they're just trying to ball out and get like a $200,000 van.
Hold on, tell me again what I searched for. I was busy.
1800 watts.
You're just a thief.
Know who like just because it's your fucking opinion, you have your rights. Those people don't have all of their rights. So what it looks like is you're just using it to be hateful. And then well, I know that because now you want to just fuck with me and all this other stuff.
To be you projecting ass motherfucker. You project about every goddamn thing. Are you 40 years old or 4?
You told him
Are
he
you
wanted to be
fucking
a
40
bitch.
or 4?
You told him he wanted to be a bitch.
Just show you, keep being mad.
Yeah,
Girl, I know why you mad, but
who
you
brought
must
this shit up in the
grow
first
up. I
place?
don't care about you saying
You
fuck
mad
with me.
about it,
That's
though.
who makes my world.
You mad about it. That don't got nothing
How the
to
fuck
do
am I mad?
I can't actually live stream that room because it kills the Instagram live stream because there's so much vulgarity and toxicity in that room that meta ends the live stream because there's so much profanity and insanity. It's kind of interesting how LGBTQ criticize bigots, but yet they themselves are the ones who kill meta live streams because they're so toxic and they make death threats and horrific attacks on people.
Or I'll have tuna, but other than that, I can't do fish.
To me too, it's very scary. It's just scary.
But if you get sole, which is a very thin fish, but if you can cook sole correctly, it's very easy to take it off the bone because it doesn't have the small bones like the white fleshy fish that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So if you cook sole, you can literally use a fork and push it off the bone because it's a solid bone. And you can do it on the top and the bottom because obviously the bone goes in the middle. And then you'll never get fish bones if you eat sole. And sole is a beautiful fish. It's a solid fish, but it's so easy to just pull away from the bone.
Thank you. Although I'm kind of more of a fan. One, because, okay, so don't judge me. I'm doing okay, but I could be doing better. But right now, I'm grateful for what I have. So I can afford a nice chicken rotisserie once in a while. But other than that, I don't really eat meat anymore. One, because I can't really afford it. I'd rather do other things. But anyways, so instead of eating fish, I'll probably opt for seaweed. It's just gotten to the point where it's like, you know what? Everybody else can have their meat. I'll just eat the veggies. Only because I'm just so turned off by it. And there's like now, I don't know if you guys heard about that, but there's like serious listeria outbreaks now with this meat. And not just one kind of meat, like several kinds. And that's frightening. And I think a child died recently.
That's right. Boar's head. Boar's head.
Okay, this is random. Does anybody bleach their meat?
Bleach?
No.
The fuck? Bleach your meat?
You put bleach on their meat?
Bleach your meat?
Yes.
The fuck? The fuck?
It's on that discussion every day, Chet. Every day.
Can't listen to this stupid shit. Yeah, nobody's saying anything. I can't go into talking apes. So stupid.
Like brooms, they don't have to be gender specific. The fact that there are other cultures that recognize a third gender
And yeah, like even those people,
There's
they
cultures that recognize a third gender. Well, clearly it must be a cultural appropriation.
but they are seen as like special and
I don't know.
Different, somewhat angelic and things like that. Like other cultures see it as a plus. It's just ignorant ass America.
They see it as a plus.
This issue
being
and breaks it down in the
delusional.
most ignorant way possible. So I just want to say that because in our cultural expressions, if we looked at the rituals that we have engaged in as African people, as people in the Caribbean and stuff like, we are very gender fluid. We have expressed that. So that's it. That's another point, and I don't know everything, but I'm just tossing out some ideas.
Thank you, Dr. Goddess. Dr. Goddess, let me speak with you real quick.
Oh, wait, but I wasn't done.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you was done, babe. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, no. So the other thing is that, as an advocate for girls, like, y'all remember when girls were not allowed to play like on football fields with boys? And so when they started to play, I was cheering them on. And I didn't care that that we were quote unquote interrupting boys' spaces because I was just like, who told you that girls can't play soccer? Who told you that girls can't play flag football? Right? And who told you that like girls can't do these things? So I have to be honest, like when I see the videos, of girls speeding down the football field, past these boys, or they make a touchdown, and it is often a singular girl or maybe two or three on a whole team with other boys. I'm just cheering them on. Now, maybe I'm clearly exposing my own bias, but I'm just saying that that's what I do. So I think I was already a little bit more lenient to the idea that somebody identifying, with a more gender fluid identity or has questions about their sexuality or whatever, that is like, can I just play football? Like, I didn't have, and I don't really have like those hang-ups in that way. And then I think the last thing is, I did say I had three, but I guess the last thing is just, there does need to be some re-education. And I will definitely say, like, I was thrust into a very complicated situation where one time, and I'm a literature person. If y'all did figure that out at one point. But I was talking to somebody that I didn't know was transgender. And their profile, because this was also on social media, their profile was just a painting. It wasn't even clear. There was no obvious male or female or whatever. And they let me know in the most rude way, oh, I'm trans, And then somebody was like, did she just attack a trans person? And I was like, no. I said, I was just asking. I think I said, I didn't say them. I said, like, I was just asking. I can't remember exactly what I said, but what I know exactly the term I used. And I said, I don't know what S/HE, what they were talking about. So I was using S/HE as she or he. Now, somebody that could criticize me and say, well, you were still using a binary, example. But the whole point was I was actually trying to respect how they gender identify. And it was totally turned on to me that, like, suddenly I was this transphobic person. I needed to apologize. I mean, it got like, the whole thing escalated so high. And I was just like, this is way too much. And then I got mad. Now I never went into any transphobic insults or nothing like that, but I was just mad about the whole situation. And it did introduce me to a lot of people because this was a social media thing. Like I said, like there were a lot of people in the general LGBTQ community that felt like those people went too far. I was introduced to TERFs.
Dr. Goddess. Come
Well,
on.
no, I'm just telling you.
I'm just saying, like, sis, come on. We got a lot of people on stage. Go ahead, right? Go ahead.
Okay,
Go
but
ahead.
this is y'all been like fighting, and I'm trying to
Diffuse the situation. That's what I thought. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, so last thing is just that like it became this huge thing, and I didn't even know that there were
No,
people
I'm gonna go to
that
the
like
gym in a
hate
little
trans
bit. What do you?
people.
Thanks for
I didn't
checking
know
up
the
on me.
politics about gay people who kind of feel like trans people, they're human, but y'all need to fall back. And I guess the last thing, which I do think that is probably most offensive to some of the people that don't know, is that trans men, and it's specifically trans men, and I'm not talking about, wait, is it trans women or trans? I'm sorry.
She can't keep track.
The ones who are FTM, as I would have said in the past.
Welcome to the world of hell.
Yeah.
Let's just put down the landing gear.
No, sorry. The ones who are men.
Let's put down the landing gear.
Okay. A lot of okay. So, I'm sorry. My apologies. So trans women. The one thing I have seen is that some trans women be getting completely out of pocket, and in the attempt to assert their rights, they have begun to erase so-called birth women's rights. So I have found, and that is also a very like masculine trait, ironically enough. Like trans men don't do that. Like I see a lot of trans women doing that, where they're like, well, no, fuck that. There ain't gonna be no gender, and they'll be like, fuck that. You're going to say birthing people. You're not going to say women. You're not going to say pregnancy. And there's just like, I mean, there was even a controversy where a women's book club who, they were promoting like women's books, and like the trans women came and was just like, no, just make it a general book club. And so like, I think that that's too much. I think that that's too far. Like there's a way to honor trans rights without erasing women's rights. And I do think that is like a part of the hatred and some transphobia that goes into resisting, because people do not want to erase women or biological women, or just like women. They don't want to erase periods. They don't want to erase pregnancy. They don't want to erase the things that make women who were born women.
Let's pass the plate around and.
What's that? Oh, so Jamal, be quiet. But anyway, so that's I land. I wanted to say those things. So
I want to say how weird it is to me that people care so much about our rights in the bathroom, but they don't give a fuck about our rights outside the bathroom. It's just funny to me, and there's no way anybody can erase my womanhood. That I have periods, that I have children, that I have menopause. Nobody can erase that, no matter what they call themselves or they call me. It's wild to me. But I do understand other people have problems with it. But try to care about my rights outside the bathroom.
Thank you, April. Now, this is exactly where I wanted to go, because I want to move the conversation beyond
this is the dumbest shit in the world, but
individual feelings.
I mean, this is what really content is? It's just stupid
from
shit.
From a worldview perspective. We've heard the other side and what they have said.
I'm going to leave soon, though. I'm going to the gym and just let this run. These fucking losers will be on here for 8 hours talking same shit.
This topic, that's the word. So, what I'm trying to figure out, calling them names, us calling them homophobic, transphobic, is not helping, right? So, what do we do? How do we bridge this gap? Because what's being done right now and saying, here, take this, and force feeding it is not helping the situation. It really isn't. Trying to plead with logic and saying, hey, listen, I can tell you now, if a trans person comes into the same bathroom that you're in, they identify as you. They're not looking at you because they want to harm you, rape you, or anything. They are protecting themselves from not going into another space because they would be harmed there, whereas they're not going to be harmed here, right? How do we move this conversation to get some understanding?
Have any evidence to suggest that what you're saying is true?
At a complete stalemate. because they're not moving past their
Seth
their
Dillon.
thoughts
I don't
and
know
their
who Seth Dillon
ideologies
is.
based off of you guys calling them names and telling them that they're wrong and that you're right. They're
But
not doing
they
that.
are
Yo,
wrong.
why do we act like we agree on everything on the left or side of the American political spectrum? We don't believe on everything. I had an argument with
I didn't call it right or left. I just said the other side, whatever side that is.
Sure, let's not harp on that. Let's not harp on that. Let's
Well, you're the one harping on it.
I'm not harping on anything.
Not harping, dog.
My point is aside from what you just said. What I'm saying is, why do we pretend that we agree on things?
Can I say something?
April, I said for the dismissive people who are dismissive of people's opinions, do not do that with your children. You cannot shame your children into believing the same way that you do. Should they present themselves different than what you agree, what I am saying is that please
present myself. You're presenting yourself in a very queer manner.
That is a fucked up thing to do, especially as a parent. You're basically telling them that they're thinking wrong, and then they will start to internalize it. That's what I said.
I don't know. I don't know who Ashley St. Clair is. Random personality.
I said who? I said who is doing that? I don't get that from this conversation.
We're having a conversation. A lot of people are dismissing other people's opinions. It was just a sentiment that I decided to share. Do I need to break down the mechanics of how I think now?
God damn, I didn't say anything.
I answered your question.
Can I finish what I was saying?
All right, ladies. I just want to just add a point, but can we get a cue going a little bit, please? Can somebody do a cue? Relax, bro.
No, you got a cue, brother. You got a month.
Go ahead, MJ, but I'm saying, can we get a cue? You take your police coat off, Joe. We got
All I'm saying.
Look, I'm after him.
Yeah, all I'm saying is.
No, you're not.
We don't have to agree on things. We don't have to agree on things. It's weird. Like, me and Patty had a little back and forth last week about Western hegemony, and like the advancement of Western hegemony not being a benefit to Black people locally or globally. Right? These are fundamental differences in people's politics. Right? We have to focus on what's important. Like, we're always going to disagree on a lot of different shit, and this issue is one of those where even the community, right, that we advocate for, right, still argues amongst themselves, right, and that's cool too, right. We don't have to agree on things, but we have to have a baseline by which we are going to campaign and win elections, right. That is critically important, right. And so certain issues we have to admit if they are value added, right, as far as the campaign is concerned or not. And there are many issues that I'm incredibly passionate about that just are not value added to campaign on. And we have to come to grips with that list of those issues that we can,
So random personality, what is your point?
About because they're not winning anything for us. I don't see the problem with that.
Yes, and that's exactly what I was trying to say when I was saying how do we move forward in regards to, because one group is saying, well, if you don't fight for my rights, then I'm not voting for you and I'm going to sit out. And then there are others that support them that also say, I'm not going to vote because you aren't supporting them. Because I feel like if you're not going to support them, then you may not support me down the road. So I'm trying to figure out how do we move forward so that we can.
You move forward by shutting the fuck up.
What you just said is
women use women bathrooms.
School,
if you transition,
school is not
use
just
the transition bathroom. If you're transition,
your turn, school.
Oh, sorry, Josh. Sorry, Josh.
It should be my turn right
Matt's
now.
turn.
It's my turn.
Shut your Burlington Coat Factory wearing coat
I'm not going to take offense to any of
Shut your
that.
Burlington Coat Factory with your Black Friday sale ass the fuck up. You got a Black Friday sale to get ready for, my guy. Shut the fuck up.
Fuck. Here we go. I can't live stream all this profanity, sir.
My opinion is this, and y'all can disagree, and I don't give a fuck. So
He does not give a fuck.
I came back in, Jeff, and it was like, I'm like, what are they asking him? If he has...
That's like, how many ladies are hitting on this guy now?
I'm like, poor Jeff. What's happening?
Right?
What's going on?
Is Ellie still in town? Beth's about to bring out a baton and whip these ladies away.
No, but I think it would be fun if. Did you invite everybody?
Don't include me in this. I'm curling my hair. Sorry, I was too busy to unmake. They're really encouraging him for some time. He's gonna have that. He's not even insecure about it. It's kind of funny to listen, licking the taint. I'm sorry, I'm curling my hair. Hey, Sam.
That's it.
High heels.
What was that?
Yeah, I gotta admit, I'm a little confused if I'm a dance slut now.
Yeah, I know. This is like they've gotten into his head, Beth. This is what they've done since you've been gone.
Every
I've been listening, and I love every. I didn't know Jeff
What's a
was so
dance
nervous
slut?
about his time tonight being a dance.
Well, I'm not nervous. I'm gonna be the women. I'm gonna dance with the women.
Yeah. That's the kind of event that he's going to. I mean,
Are you doing line dancing, Jeff?
What?
Are you doing line dancing? Because it sounds like you all have to take a turn.
No, it's Latin dancing, partner dancing.
Ooh, even more sexy. Sexy. Because you're curling your hair.
We're going to a family birthday.
Orna, you make it sound like she's curling her toes.
It's kind of what I do. It's what I do when I leave the house. I get ready. Typically.
Oh yeah, I'm not getting ready. I'm just pulling my hair back and putting on clothes.
Sarah, I like the frittata.
As long as you get it together for the.
Boring.
My little Jew is waiting on me. I gotta go pick her up here at 2:00. So I'm throwing a pair of jeans on,
My little Jew.
a nice sweater, and then
I'm kind of aroused like this isn't going anywhere, and so I rash her.
Alright, I'm gonna leave it on this fucker and go to the gym.
Start deadlifting. And then the whole room sort of got up to that level.
These fuckers will be on here for 24 hours.
And then he said,
You got it on mute. Stoic,
And
answer
then
the
he stayed
motherfucking
around
question.
for a while,
What?
Like, he was in the chat for
Elon
a
Musk
while,
is
and
a,
he
is
was
a
like, "Oh, I'm gonna
schizoid
leave," and he was still
spazoid.
there, like, half an
Doesn't
hour
understand
later.
stoicism.
He only
He
left
goes
actually
crazy
when
screaming
British
that
kicked him out, because he was
that
just
Marcus
distracting
Aurelius'
once he
book
was,
should have been
went to
burned, and
sleep.
it's not for people to read. He's so
And then he
stupid.
started
He's like a
his
child.
own room and continued to complain about our room.
Wait, really?
And how we're mean. Yeah, he started his own room, and I went in there, and he was just like, he's like crying. There's like 8 people in.
He's probably gonna do more of those. We should all go into one of those rooms at some point.
So this makes so much more sense because I hopped in there when I saw Shane in there for a second, and he was complaining about being bullied, and I was all, grown men can't be bullied. You can fight, you can argue, but you can't be bullied. That's bullshit. It makes so much more sense. But I totally missed all the.
Are you still talking about 22 years old guy?
Yeah, he's just a kid.
Just leave him alone.
Talking about 22-year-old, you don't know, you don't have real Bitcoin. Your Bitcoin, you think that's Bitcoin you have.
It's just the room getting warmed up for the holiday season.
I think the funny thing is trying to articulate what your claim to fame is. It sounds like this guy maybe fumbled the.
Hey, Mike, that was a halfway decent impression. Keep it up.
Thank you.
It would have been a full-on impression if he said bit 47.
Actually, that's old technology. It's silent payments now.
Yeah, I was gonna. Poor Dick, what are your 3 favorite bips?
Doesn't matter, man. What matters is usability. Silent payment is unusable. While bit 47 been used for a while.
My favorite is BIP 1.
What's BIP 1? I've heard of that.
Amir Talkies. Corte gets the joke.
Okay, maybe I'll just put on like an audiobook or something for you.
I know. Thank you. I see. How was last night? Jeff, did you have fun last night? Yeah, it was fun actually.
Okay. Let's just do this.
Steven, is that your new book?
Yeah! Look at this. I'm giving this book away this Sunday for free.
I'm delighted to learn, Ari, that they're going to be joining with CSP. And I'm privileged to say that Danny Matt is also a friend, and that adds to my delight in this privilege of studying with him. And I offer to just give a little bit of context as to Professor Matt and how he came to write and dedicate himself to the translation and commentary and the critical edition of the Zohar. So you have to look at Danny Matt, who you can see now on the screen, and imagine him more than 20 years ago, when over 20 years ago, that younger Danny Matt was a professor at the Graduate Theological Union in Berkeley, having earned his doctorate at Brandeis. And in Chicago, there was a student of the Zohar, beginning with her rabbi from the Federation, Rabbi Yechiel Pupko, or as my wife knew him as the Hillel director at University of Michigan, Rabbi Joel Pupko. And they were studying together, and it was clear there wasn't a great translation, let alone a commentary. And so they were aware that a young professor, Danny Matt, had written some excerpts, Gems of the Zohar, for Paulus Press. That's not the title, but that's what it was. And they said, let's approach Professor Matt and see maybe he'll take on this challenge, which seemed enormous because there were three parts. There needed to be, as a scholar, a critical edition. For close to 250 years, the Zohar was manuscripts. And to be able to find what was probably, to put together the best critical edition was task one, which is now on the Stanford website. Task two was to write a translation that was connected and flowing poetically with the words of Zohar. And three is a commentary. Professor Matt spent over 18 years on that project and did 9 volumes of what is a 12-volume enormous achievement with his contemporaries Joel Hecker and Nathan Wolski working together with his editorial input on volumes 10, 11, and 12. So in sum, we are delighted to be able to learn the Zohar with Professor Matt, who has been immersed and has truly what will be the classic translation and commentary to the classic mystical text. Professor Matt.
Thank you, Ellie. Good to be with you again. Tonight we're going to explore an extended passage from the Zohar that picks up on the theme we began looking at last week, the levels of meaning in the Torah. How the Zohar begins with a pshat, the simple sense of the Bible, and then penetrates that surface layer to find or to create deeper meaning. First, I want to address a question that came up last week that I didn't get to on the nature of Aramaic. I think it was Joshua Moss who asked specifically, what kind of Aramaic was the model for the author of the Zohar? And I'll refer to him as Moses de Leon. There definitely were several people involved in composing the Zohar, but he was, I think, the main author, the composer. So we mentioned that the Zohar was written in Aramaic, and it was strange in the Middle Ages to write anything in Aramaic. Very few Jews anywhere in the world spoke Aramaic. Of course, the great work of Rabbinic Judaism, the Talmud, is written almost entirely in Aramaic. And that was the model for Moses de Leon. Really, he was trying to create another version of Judaism, you might say. He was trying to rejuvenate Judaism. And he couldn't come out and say, I have an idea, this is how it should be. He felt that he was drawing on some ancient wisdom, and he wanted to present this to the Jewish world as something older than himself, something deeper than his own creation. So he wrote it in Aramaic, I think, for two reasons. One, to make it difficult, because these were challenging mystical ideas, seeing God as male and female, saying that we can affect God, radical theological innovations. So he didn't want to make it too easy for readers. There's a struggle as you study Zohar. You're struggling with the text, and you're struggling with your own preconceptions and your own mental apparatus that happens in any mystical text that one encounters. So the book is written in Aramaic partly to make it difficult, to make it a challenge, to make it something more mysterious, but also to make it look ancient, to present the Zohar not as his newfangled invention, but as ancient wisdom. It's written in Aramaic to make it look as old as the Talmud, to make it appear like an ancient midrash. As to which Aramaic he really drew on, I mentioned in passing last week, Moses de Leon was not a speaker of Aramaic. As I said, now hardly any Jews spoke Aramaic in the 13th century. He knew Aramaic from studying the Talmud, but to write something in a language that you only know from books is quite challenging. And the Aramaic that he wrote really betrays itself. He's really thinking in Hebrew and writing in Aramaic. When you look at the Zohar in the original, you really have to think, what was the Hebrew there in his mind? We'll see some examples tonight and next week about specific Aramaic that he used, but basically the Aramaic of the Zohar does not fit exactly any earlier form. It draws largely from the Babylonian Talmud. It also relies on the Aramaic from the Targum, the traditional Aramaic translation of the Torah. I'd like to tell you something that when I was a graduate student at Brandeis, there was a very fine scholar of Aramaic who was visiting teacher from Jerusalem, and he didn't specialize in Zohar at all. His specialty was earlier ancient forms of Aramaic. But I asked him once if I could do a readings course with him in the Aramaic of the Zohar. And I knew that wasn't his specialty, but I wanted to see how he, as an Aramaic scholar, would analyze the unique Aramaic of the Zohar. And I'll never forget, he said to me in response, "I don't deal in corrupt Aramaic." That was his answer. To him, the Aramaic of the Zohar was not any pure form. It didn't come from Bible or from Rabbinic Aramaic or from Palestinian or Babylonian Aramaic. It's its own unique amalgam, and he didn't want to get near it. Years later, I came to realize that I think he was really telling me that he wasn't comfortable with the Aramaic of the Zohar, because it is a bizarre kind of Aramaic. Let's look now at the passage we're going to focus on. I'm going to bring it up here on the screen. Some of you may have printed it out. If you did print it out, it's in the PDF beginning on page 4. Last week we looked at the Sfirot and a couple short passages from the Zohar. But this passage is from the Zohar's commentary on Torah portion Mishpatim. You see here it says Parashat Mishpatim, Torah portion Mishpatim, which comes around the middle of the book of Exodus, right after the giving of the Torah on Mount Sinai. And this particular section, it's one of the most famous narratives in the Zohar. It's called Sava de Mishpatim. Sava is like the word Saba, grandfather. So it's grandfather of Mishpatim, or the old man of Torah portion Mishpatim. And it's about an old man that the rabbis meet. One night, Rabbi Chia and Rabbi Yosei encountered each other at the Tower of Tyre. This is the city in Lebanon, so a little bit north of the border between modern Israel and Lebanon. In those days, things were a little more peaceful, and you could actually travel from the Galilee into Lebanon easily. These rabbis meet one night at an inn in Lebanon. They lodged there, delighting in each other. Rabbi Yossi said, "How happy I am to see the face of Shekhinah." Sorry. For just now, the whole way here, I was pestered by a certain old man, a donkey driver, who kept asking me the whole way. Before we go any further, I want to go back to this line here. I am so happy to see the face of Shekhinah. It's a pretty strange statement. One rabbi sees his colleague, Rabbi Yossi sees Rabbi Chia, and instead of saying, I'm so happy to see you, he says, how happy I am to see the face of Shekhinah. We explored Shekhinah a little bit last week. That is the divine presence. In the Kabbalah, she is specifically the feminine quality of God, the feminine half of God. You remember the goal of the whole Zohar, the goal of Judaism, according to the Zohar, is to unite Shekhinah with the Holy One, blessed be He. So here, Rabbi Yossi says, I'm glad to see the face of Shekhinah. Why does he say that? Let's look down at the note. I'll give you an example of how my commentary at the bottom of a page, how it tries to unpack the text. How happy I am to see the face of Shekhinah. If you're looking at the printed text, this is on page 4 of the PDF, the right-hand column, footnote number 3. How happy I am to see the face of Shekhinah. According to rabbinic tradition, whoever welcomes, or literally receives, the face of the wise, if you welcome someone who is wise, it's considered as if you've welcomed the divine presence. You might say this is a way to promote respect for teachers or for the wise, but let's understand it more broadly. If you welcome a wise person, you are somehow connecting with the divine spark in that person. It's as if you've welcomed God. Look how other texts put it. I'm continuing here in the note. Rabbi Shmuel said in the name of Rabbi Zera, whoever receives the face of his teacher is considered as if he receives the face of Shekhinah. One who receives the face of his friend, if you welcome your friend, it's as if you've welcomed Shekhinah. This really, you could say, is the root of Martin Buber's philosophy, I and thou. Buber really felt that if you genuinely welcome, if you genuinely encounter another human being, you can feel the divine presence, the spark of God within everyone. And the rabbis are saying something similar. If you welcome your friend, it's as if you've welcomed the divine. What the Zohar does is to take out the word as if. Here the rabbi doesn't say, I'm so glad to see you, it's as if I've seen Shekhinah. Here it's more shorthand. I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad to see Shekhinah. That's really what he says, how happy I am to see the face of Shekhinah. Now, why is he so happy to see his fellow traveler, his companion, his Kabbalistic comrade? Because he was pestered on the whole journey by a donkey driver. And this donkey driver asked ridiculous questions, and now we hear these questions. Let me warn you, these questions are meant to be confusing. They're meant to perplex us and almost frustrate us. Eventually, the Zohar does interpret some of them, and we'll see an interpretation of one of them, but just be prepared for intentional poetic confusion. This is what the donkey driver asked. Who is a serpent that flies in the air, moving in separation, while an ant lies comfortably between its teeth? Beginning in union, it ends in separation. Who is an eagle that nests in a tree that never was? Its young plundered, though not created creatures. Ascending they descend, descending they ascend. Two who are one and one who is three. Who is a beautiful maiden without eyes, her body hidden and revealed? She emerges in the morning and is concealed by day, adorning herself with adornments that are not. All this he asked on the way, and I was annoyed. Now I can relax. If we had been together, we would have engaged in words of Torah instead of other words of waste. Rabbi Chia said, that old man, that old donkey driver, do you know anything about him? Let's just pause at that phrase, words of waste, since Joshua was asking about the Aramaic. Take a look. Let's read one more paragraph, then we'll look down. That old donkey driver, do you know anything about him? He replied, I know that his words have no substance. For if he knew anything, he would have opened with Torah, and the way would not have been empty. Rabbi Chia wanted to discuss Torah on the road. That's what rabbis do when they're walking. That's what Jews do when they're together, studying Torah, not wasting time in small talk or jokes. And here this rabbi is frustrated because he wasn't able to study Torah, and the way was empty. The whole path was empty without learning. Take a look down at note 6 and 7. Waste, right? These words of waste of the donkey driver. The Hebrew, there the Zohar uses a Hebrew word rather than Aramaic, tohu. Tohu, as in Genesis, first chapter, second verse of Genesis. The haaretz hayta tohu vavohu. The earth was tohu vavohu, waste and empty, with darkness over the abyss and the wind of God hovering over the waters. And then when he says the way would not have been empty, the word for empty is rekanya. You see here a little further in the note. The rekanya, that comes from the Aramaic Targum, the Aramaic translation of the word bohu. So he uses the word tohu in Hebrew, and then he uses the Aramaic for bohu, drawing on that phrase tohu vavohu. It's a little bit of his playfulness with Aramaic. The Zohar is very playful. It's one of the secrets of the Zohar and one of the endearing qualities of the Zohar, that it's a book also with eros and with humor. And here, this donkey driver, who is an old fool, he is the main character of this story. Rabbi Chia said, that donkey driver, is he here? For sometimes in those empty ones, you may discover bells of gold. Here, Rabbi Chia is much more understanding, much more patient. He says, maybe this foolish donkey driver has some gems. He has some gems to offer us. And Rabbi Yossi replies, here he is, getting fodder ready for his donkey. They called him, and he came over to them. He said, now 2 are 3, and 3 are like 1. You remember one of his riddles mentioned something similar, that 3 are 1. This is an example of the Zohar actually playing with some Trinitarian formulations, right? The main symbol system of Christianity is the Trinity, and all Christian theologians insist that the 3 are 1. And here the Zohar is saying 3 are 1. He's not talking about the Trinity. The donkey driver is talking about the 3 of them, Rabbi Chia, Rabbi Yossi, and the donkey driver. First, there were just 2 of them, right? Rabbi Yossi and the donkey driver on the road, or Rabbi Chia and Rabbi Yossi at the inn. But now all 3 of them are together, so now 2 have become 3, and 3 are like 1. They're all together, and they are 1. But Rabbi Yossi doesn't get the point or doesn't get the joke. Rabbi Yossi said, didn't I tell you that all his words are empty and inane? He sat before them and said, Rabbis, I have become a donkey driver, yet only a short time ago. Previously, I wasn't one. But I have a son, and I put him in school. I want him to engage in Torah. When I find one of the rabbis traveling on the road, I goad his donkey behind. Today I thought I would hear new words of Torah, but I haven't heard anything. So what is he saying? He's really saying, I was innocently walking behind you, driving your donkey, goading your donkey. That's what I do. And my purpose was to pick up a little Torah, and you didn't teach me anything. Rabbi Yossi said, of all the words I heard you say, I was astonished by only one. Either you said it out of foolishness, or they are empty words. The old man said, and which one is that? He replied, a beautiful maiden. That was the part of his riddle, the one of his riddles that talked about a beautiful maiden hidden and concealed. So that part of the donkey driver's riddles, that's really what Rabbi Yossi wants him to explain, especially. The old man opened. Yudhevave is with me. I do not fear. What can a human do to me? Yudhevave is with me, helping me. It is better to take refuge in Yudhevave than to trust in a human. How fine, lovely, precious, and sublime are words of Torah. Yet should I speak in the presence of those from whose mouths until now I haven't heard a single word? But I should speak, for there is no shame at all in uttering words of Torah in the presence of anyone. Okay, look what he's saying here. He begins by quoting from Psalms. Why does he quote this? Because he wants divine protection. He's about to reveal the secrets of Torah, the secrets of Kabbalah. That's seen as something very precious, but also potentially dangerous. So he's taking refuge in God. He's trusting in God's protection as he reveals these secrets. And then he says the words of Torah, and by words of Torah he means even deeper mystical interpretations of Torah. The mystical meaning of Torah, how can I say these words from you, in front of you, he's saying to the rabbis, I haven't heard anything from you yet. In other words, I don't know if you're worthy. I don't know if you're qualified to hear these words. Now this is a little shocking. He's speaking to two of the disciples of Rabbi Shimon. He's speaking to two rabbis of the Zohar, two Kabbalists, but he's not sure that they are worthy of hearing the wisdom he wants to convey, but he overcomes his hesitation. But I should speak, for there is no shame at all in uttering words of Torah in presence of anyone, even in the presence of you unproven rabbis. A little bit of a dig there at the rabbis, you might say, and there is something of a critique of the rabbinate in the Zohar. The official leaders of the community, the wealthy in the community, do not necessarily have the integrity or the wisdom that's required. Moving to the next page in the PDF, but it actually skips about 28 pages in the Zohar. I've left out some very dense material, and we're moving on to a passage that we're going to explore now as part of this narrative. So it's on the next page of the PDF. I think we're now on page 8 of the PDF, and you have it in front of you here on the screen. Excuse me. The old man opened, saying, Moses entered the cloud. And Moses entered within the cloud and went up the mountain. Okay, going back to Mount Sinai. This verse is actually from the Torah portion of Mishpatim, part of the account of the revelation at Sinai. What is this cloud? Well, the same of which is written, my bow I have set in the cloud. That, of course, goes back to Noah. Genesis chapter 9, the aftermath of the flood. Remember, God brings a rainbow, places a rainbow in the cloud as the covenant, as his promise that he'll never again destroy the world. So for the Zohar, the cloud on Sinai is similar or maybe even the same as the cloud that Noah saw after the flood. Okay, many, many generations have passed. Think about 25 generations have passed between the flood and Moses, but that's no problem for the Zohar. The cloud that Moses entered on Sinai is the cloud that Noah saw after the flood. We have learned that the rainbow removed its garments and gave them to Moses. In that garment he ascended. From within it he saw what he saw, delighting in awe. Until here. This is confusing, typical of the Zohar. It starts simply, and then by the time we get a few lines into the text, we wonder what it means. Let's look at it closely. First, he's comparing or equating the two clouds. Then he says the rainbow removed its garments. The rainbow here is a symbol of whom? I should tell you, any question I ask, the correct answer is very often Shekhinah. She is the main character in the Zohar. She is described and alluded to more than anyone or anything. So the rainbow is one of her symbols because she includes all of the colors of the Sefirot. You remember last week we looked at that diagram of the Sefirot. Shekhinah is the last of the 10. She includes all the preceding 9. Many of those are symbolized, some of those are symbolized by specific colors. And Shekhinah is the rainbow, including all of the divine qualities, all the hues of divine light. So Shekhinah is the rainbow. She is clothed in a cloud. The rainbow is hidden in the cloud, and the rainbow takes off the cloud and gives it to Moses. And Moses wears the cloud as he climbs up Mount Sinai as a protective garment, or as a lens through which, to a filter, you might say, through which he can see the divine. In that garment he ascended. From within it he saw what he saw, delighting in all, drinking in all of the richness of the divine through the vision that he had. He saw what he saw. He had a vision of the divine energy, divine qualities. Let's take a look at the note, just so you'll see what's going on here with the notes. This is the bottom left of that page that we're on, page 8 of the PDF, note number 93. Moses entered within the cloud. The old man equates this cloud at Sinai with an earlier cloud from the days of Noah. After the flood, God displayed a rainbow in the clouds as a sign of the covenant, guaranteeing that life would never again be annihilated. In Exodus, the cloud signifies the divine presence. Here it enwraps Shekhinah, who is herself symbolized by the rainbow. You can read the rest of the quote later. We're going to go on now with the text. So the old man has delivered this message. As I said, he delivered many pages of Kabbalistic wisdom, but this is the final thing that he says before the companions respond. And what do? The companions means the two rabbis, Rabbi Chia and Rabbi Yossi. The companions came and fell down before him, and weeping they said, "If we have come into the world just to hear these words from your mouth, it is enough for us." It's a beautiful line that appears a number of times in the Talmud. The Zohar takes it over and repeats it more often. What are the rabbis saying? If we came to the world just to learn this insight that you gave us, just to hear these teachings you've been delivering, then our life has been worthwhile. It is enough for us. The Aramaic there is dailan, like dayenu. On Passover we say dayenu. Right, a few months ago on Pesach we said it is enough for us if you brought us out from Egypt, if you brought us across the Red Sea, if you gave us the Torah, dayenu. It would be enough. This is similar, dailan. It is enough for us. Maybe enough for them, but it's not enough for the old man. And he goes on immediately. The old man said, "If another woman he takes for him." Here he's quoting another verse from the Torah portion. We're not going to look at this verse because it takes him quite a while to get to it. It's one of the verses about the laws of slavery. You can look it up if you want, but we're going to continue immediately with the old man's main teaching. Companions, not for this alone did I begin to speak. For an old man like me doesn't rattle or call with just a single word. Inhabitants of the world are so confused in their minds. They do not see the path of truth in Torah. Torah calls to them every day, cooing, if they do not want to turn their heads. Although I said that a word of Torah emerges from her sheath is seen for a moment, then quickly hides away, certainly so. But when she reveals herself from her sheath and quickly hides, she does so only for those who know her and recognize her. So he's saying that Torah peeks out for a moment and reveals something deeper than the pshat, deeper than the literal meaning, but then Torah is hidden away, and only those who are devoted to her pick up the hint. And now he tells a parable to explain. This may be compared to a beloved maiden, beautiful in form and appearance, concealed secretly in her palace. She has a single lover unknown to anyone, except to her, concealedly. Out of the love that he feels for her, this lover passes by her gate constantly, lifting his eyes to every side. Knowing that her lover is constantly circling her gate, what does she do? She opens a little window in that secret palace where she is, reveals her face to her lover, and quickly withdraws, concealing herself. None of those near the lover sees or notices, only the lover, and his inner being and heart and soul follow her. He knows that out of love for him, she revealed herself for a moment to arouse him. A beautiful, dramatic, romantic tale. It sounds like something out of the tales of King Arthur, a tale of the knights in the age of chivalry, right? This knight is totally devoted to the princess, and the princess peeks out from her castle, from her palace for a moment. The knight, the devoted knight who is circling the palace, catches a glimpse of her, and for a moment, that's enough. So what does that have to do with the study of Torah? You would think this is a totally different world, totally different domain, but for the Zohar, this story helps us understand the process of study. As the old man continues, so it is with the word of Torah. She reveals herself only to her lover. Torah knows that one who is wise of heart circles her gate every day. What does she do? She reveals her face to him from the palace and beckons him with a hint, then swiftly withdraws to her place, hiding away. None of those there knows or notices, he alone does, and his inner being and heart and soul follow her. Thus Torah reveals and conceals herself, approaching her lover lovingly to arouse love with him. Come and see. This is the way of Torah. At first, when she begins to reveal herself to a person, she beckons him momentarily with a hint. If he perceives, good. If not, she sends for him, calling him simple. Tell that simple one to come closer so I can talk with him. As is written, whoever is simple, let him turn here, he who lacks understanding. As he approaches, she begins to speak with him from behind a curtain she has drawn, words suitable for him, until he reflects little by little. This is Drasha. So let's pause here for a moment. Until now, the Zohar has just been showing what's on the surface, you might say. The Zohar said a hint, but we assume this is the simple meaning, the literal meaning that you would start with when you open up a book, when you open up the Bible. But she, in that sense, she was hidden. She was still behind the wall of the palace. Now she reveals something more. Now she's no longer hidden by a stone wall. Now there's just a curtain dividing her from the devoted student, dividing her from the lover. And this level of Torah is called Drasha. That's the Aramaic for Midrash. Midrash is how the rabbis begin to expand the meaning of Torah, moving from the literal to the Midrash, trying to interpret the Torah, trying to apply it to contemporary life. That process of Midrash is revealing more of the potential within Torah. So the donkey driver compares it to the princess speaking from behind a curtain. Then she converses with him from behind a delicate sheet, words of riddle. This is Haggadah. Now a deeper level. It's not a curtain dividing Torah from her lover. It's only a thin veil, a delicate sheet. And this level is called Haggadah. That reminds us, of course, of the Passover Haggadah, but that's not what is being described here. In medieval Hebrew, Haggadah can also mean allegory, a philosophical reading of the text. So we've progressed from the simple meaning, or the hint, to the midrash, which is deeper and a little more intimate. Now the Torah is almost face to face with the lover, just a sheet dividing them, and that's the philosophical meaning, the Haggadah. But this too is not the ultimate. Once he has grown accustomed to her, she reveals herself to him face to face and tells him all her hidden secrets and all the hidden ways concealed in her heart since primordial days. Then he is a complete man, husband of Torah, master of the house. For all her secrets she has revealed to him, concealing nothing. So now she's face to face with a lover, with a devoted student. And what has she really revealed? She's really uncovered herself completely. She's revealed the bare essence of the teaching. She is face to face with the human devotee. But look what happens now. She says to him, do you see the hinting word with which I beckoned you at first? These are the secrets. This is what it is. Then he sees that one should not add to these words or diminish them. Then pshat of the verse, just like it is. One should not add or delete even a single letter. So human beings must be alert, pursuing Torah to become her lover, as has been said. And this is the conclusion of the narrative. Let me stop the share so that we can see each other better. I'll make room for questions in a moment. I just want to say something first. Usually the progression, when we talk about levels of meaning in Torah, is from the pshat, from the literal, from the simple, then going deeper into midrash, the rabbinic commentaries, then perhaps a philosophical layer, and finally the mystical. So it would be pshat, and then midrash, then philosophy, and then the mystical meaning. But in this passage, we have a progression from the hint on the page to midrash, to philosophy, to mystical. But notice where the Zohar ended. The final word that he used was not mystery or secret, sod, raza. It was rather pshat, the simple. So the Zohar ends with the simple meaning. You would imagine the Zohar would start with a simple meaning, and in a sense, the Zohar is always starting with a pshat. But here the final stage is not the mystical. The final stage, you could say the penultimate stage, the final stage is the mystical. The final stage is coming back to the pshat. So I want to explore that, but I think I'll let it emerge from our discussion. Maybe someone has a thought or a suggestion as to why the Zohar ends with the pshat, the simple meaning, rather than ending with the mystical, the deepest, spectacular secret.
So while people are chatting questions, I'll ask a quick question, then there's one from Josh Moss. Can you talk a little about the rabbis who are mentioned in the Zohar? In the Talmud, we have rabbis, and we know that many of them didn't even live at the same time, but they're talking to each other. Who are the rabbis that are most commonly mentioned in the Zohar, and are they contemporaries of each other? Are they, who are they, and how do they relate to all the stories? Because we've just seen two rabbis, Rabbi Chia and Rabbi Yossi, already today.
Right, this group of the Chavraya, right? I think we mentioned this term last week. Chavraya is like Hebrew Chaverim, friends, colleagues, companions, comrades. So you do have a circle of rabbis around Rabbi Shimon. The hero is Shimon bar Yochai, Shimon the son of Yochai, who was one of the great students of Rabbi Akiva. He is very well known in the Talmud and Midrash. He is the main figure in the Zohar of the human figure. Shekhinah is the main divine figure. Rabbi Shimon is the main human figure. And they actually have a romance. And when Rabbi Shimon leaves the world, he is married to Shekhinah. So it's Rabbi Shimon and his circle of close companions. I would say that, in the Talmud, you do have many, many different rabbis mentioned, but usually when you have a discussion in the Talmud, it's between rabbis who are contemporaries. You'll have two rabbis discussing things, a minute later, two other rabbis. With the Zohar, it's very different. With the Zohar, you have Rabbi Shimon talking with people who lived a generation or two after him, sometimes before him. The Zohar doesn't seem to be too concerned with the chronology. Some of the main figures are well known from the Talmud. Rabbi Chia is mentioned frequently. He too is later than Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yossi, there is an early Rabbi Yossi who could be an actual historical contemporary of the original Rabbi Shimon. Then the Zohar likes to take minor Talmudic categories and turn them into major figures. Maybe that's part of its message, that you don't know where wisdom will emerge from, and don't dismiss someone who you think is not significant. He may be a fount of wisdom.
If you want to get a flat belly at your 60s, do this. In this app, a personalized plan of short chair workouts is tailored for me, which I do at the beginning of the day. Just 10 minutes a day. It's simple and safe, without sweating and without equipment. All I need to do is open the app every day and follow along. Consistency is the key. After 3 weeks, my overall physical and mental state improved. My body became toned and mobile, and joints and back no longer bother me.
Josh Moss's question is, how did the sages like Moshe Leon come by their erotic, romantic imagery? Were rabbis afraid of seeing or thinking about the opposite sex? So where did this come from?
Yeah. I think part of the secret of the Zohar's appeal is its emphasis on the romantic and the erotic. Of course, this is human eros and also divine eros. So both of them are, stimulating and radical. This is another reason why the Zohar is hiding its teachings, right? Writing it in Aramaic, writing in a cryptic style. You notice that he created there that parable of the knight circling the castle. So he's aware that his audience knows this type of literature from the general culture, from the Christian culture. It's almost as if he's offering a Jewish Aramaic equivalent to what they might find in tales of chivalry, although the common person could not make sense of the Zohar. I think the erotic is important to appreciate here. It's part of the secret of the Zohar's success. It's part of the radical nature of the Kabbalah. In some ways, it's a reaction against Maimonides, right? Maimonides wants to remove things of God as much as possible. And the Zohar agrees that ultimately God is beyond anything we can touch or feel or describe. Ultimately, God is Ein Sof, the infinite. But when you come to the Sefirot, there we're talking about the limbs of God and the body of God. So it's really like Moses de Leon is saying, ultimately Maimonides is correct, but that kind of abstract philosophical God just isn't alive enough, isn't attainable, isn't accessible. You can't have a relationship with the infinite. So the Zohar is trying to overcome the dry, sterile divinity being described. Divinity, I shouldn't say sterile, but a divinity has become too abstract and too removed from the world. For the Zohar, the way we act affects God, and it's up to us to make God whole, to make God one. So the Zohar describes that mythically as a sexual union within God. It's important not to take that literally, but on the other hand, much of the Zohar revels in that lyrical and erotic description.
Who is the old man, and does the old man appear in other parts of the Zohar?
Yeah, an old man is really an archetype of wisdom, right? Carl Jung has written about this, and many other people too. If you find an old man in a story, he's very often the wise figure. And this old man, described as a donkey driver, right, almost mocked and ridiculed literally at the beginning. He eventually gives his name as Yeva Sava, old man Yeva. In some ways, he seems to remind us of Elijah. Elijah the prophet is described as appearing to the rabbis often in the guise of an old man. And Moses de Leon probably has that in mind too. So he is identified with a specific name, and that name Yeva is an example of someone who's a minor character in the Talmud and now becomes a major figure in the Zohar.
So we have two notes. You had asked a question about the cycle that we discussed, going back to the Pshat after the layers, and Geraldine Rogan says maybe it ends with Pshat because it's all contained therein, the purity of the simple. And adding to what Geraldine says, you have to go through layers to really understand the simple. Christine Tex here says, ending with the pshat, the simple brings us back to the beginning, as if in the completion of a circle, an infinite circle of meaning beyond comprehension. Maybe like the infinity sign.
Yeah, both of those are beautiful. And I'm noticing some of the chats, and I hope to respond to a number of them, at least briefly. We do have more time tonight, and we finished the long passage I wanted to get through, and it's wonderful to explore what comes to you, what comes up in your mind. So on that, what was the question exactly? Remind me again.
You had asked a question. Why?
No, I haven't. I have the Peshat, the simple. So coming back to the Peshat, really what Ari just conveyed from a few of you really, I think, is what I was hoping we would discover together, and you've discovered on your own without my saying it, which is all the better. The Zohar does not want to end up with the mystical. That would leave us stranded. This, I think, is one of the great dangers of mysticism. People will have a certain insight. They'll feel that they're connected with the cosmos, and then they're kind of lost. They're disoriented, or they're not able to reconnect with family, with responsibilities, with the real world, quote unquote. So the Zohar is very aware of that danger in the spiritual search. The Zohar does not want the mystical to be the ultimate. What is the ultimate? Reconnecting it with life here and now. Taking whatever insight you've had, taking whatever ultimate truth you've discovered and trying it out, seeing if it works, discussing it with other people, coming back to a more grounded existence. And yet that simple level that you return to is now no longer so simple because, as someone else said, it's filled with meaning. All of those layers of meaning, the midrash, the philosophy, the mystical, now they appear as aspects of the word on the page. So it's a beautiful educational technique that the Zohar has to progress, to go deeper and deeper and deeper, but never to abandon the simple meaning, to try to fill that meaning now with other possibilities. Let me touch on two chats that I noticed. One was on Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs. I think someone said, isn't that, what could be more erotic than the Song of Songs? The Zohar, I think, is challenged by the Song of Songs, is very attracted by the Song of Songs. It's one of the books that's quoted most often. So what's the difference between the Song of Songs and the Zohar? I mean, there are many differences, but one difference is that the Song of Songs is describing the love between a shepherd and a shepherdess. And then the rabbis say this also symbolizes the love between God and Israel. So the Zohar adopts those levels of meaning, but for the Zohar, there's a new layer of meaning in the Song of Songs. The Song of Songs is also describing the romance between the divine couple, between Shekhinah and the Holy One, blessed be He. One of the verses in the Song of Songs, Simolo tachat l'roshi, v'yamino tachabekeni. His left hand is beneath my head, with his right hand he embraces me. For the Zohar, Shekhinah is saying that to her partner, to the Holy One, blessed be He, and the Holy One, blessed be He, his right hand is one of the Sfirot, his left hand is another of the Sfirot. The divine is embracing itself. The Holy One, blessed be He, is embracing Shekhinah based on the description in the Song of Songs. So the Zohar mines, M-I-N-E-S, the Zohar mines the Song of Songs for all that it's worth. Its imagery, its rich Hebrew, its erotic symbolism, and it then applies it to the divine as well. Another chat I saw is the Tanya, and what's the connection between the Zohar and the Tanya? Any of you who have studied the Tanya, the main text of Chabad, the main text of Chabad Hasidism, I'm sure will recognize parallels, similarities between the Zohar and that Hasidic classic, and that's no accident. Really, all of Hasidism, I think I mentioned last week, all of Hasidism is based on Kabbalah. Nothing in Hasidism is other than a development of what is there, either stated explicitly or hidden or hinted at in the Zohar. In a way, you could say that Hasidism makes it available to the masses. The Zohar was in Aramaic and it was cryptic. Hasidism tries to be more open and more accessible. but it's really a later development of the Kabbalistic teaching. Let me look at one of the chats here. I would assume that to get into the Zohar, you have to believe in God in the first place. It certainly helps to believe in God, and I think what the Zohar does is to expand the meaning of God. I think the Zohar is also very helpful for people who reject God, because the Zohar offers an alternative. The Zohar is really saying, don't think of God just as someone up there who's running the show. Think of God as the energy that animates the universe. And that's what the mystic discovers, that God is within nature. God is within other human beings. And I think that by studying the Zohar, your own ideas of God are challenged. Your theology can evolve because you see what the Zohar has done in discovering new aspects of the divine. I see that someone mentioned Neil Eisenberg, my childhood friend, mentioned the word simple reminds us again of Passover. Everything comes back to the Seder. And one of the four sons is the simple son, right? It just says, Ma Zot, what is this? Kabbalistically, Zot, this, is actually a name of Shekhinah. One of her many names is this, which may mean God is this. God is right here. God is in the present. Shekhinah means the divine presence, and you can discover the divine presence right here and now. So the Zohar loves that name, this. And it's interesting, the simple son says, what is this? But that simple question of Passover, in a way, is the most profound question. What is this? Right? To ask yourself again and again, do I think I know what life is? Do I think I know what the Torah is saying? Let's look at it afresh. Let's ask again, what is this? What is this saying to me? So the beauty of the simplicity. Remember the story. The donkey driver seems like a simpleton. The donkey driver is being dismissed as a fool, and he knows the deepest layers of Torah. So that's a piece of advice about how we should appreciate people we encounter and how we should delve more deeply into something we think we already know, because it's not that simple. Is the Zohar in any way the basis for Reconstructionism, God and the goodness of people in nature? It's interesting, Mordechai Kaplan, who was the founder of Reconstructionism, he certainly was not a Kabbalist, but there are some parallels between that theology of Reconstructionism. How does Reconstructionism view God? They really see God as a process that makes for salvation. God is not a personality. God is not someone up there running the show, as I said. God is a process that makes for salvation that does resemble certain parts of the Zohar's theology. God is a flow of energy. God animates the world. Of course, there is a lot of personality of God in the Zohar that Mordechai Kaplan would be very uncomfortable with. But notice the community of Israel. That's so central for Kaplan and Reconstructionism. And Shekhinah, one of her names, is Knesset Israel, the community of Israel. Did the Jewish Enlightenment knowingly reject the Zohar? Did Moses Mendelssohn talk about the Zohar? Yeah, it's a good question. So the Kabbalah is gradually spreading to wider circles, partly because of the expulsion of the Jews from Spain. The Zohar, you remember, was composed in Spain in the 13th century. So 250 years later, when the Jews were expelled from Spain in 1492, that was a great disaster, a great tragedy. And yet the silver lining in that dark cloud was that because of the expulsion of the Jews from Spain, Kabbalah spread throughout the Jewish world. The Zohar would not have become so widely known, perhaps, without the expulsion. Jews wandering to the Ottoman Empire, Jews coming to Tzfat, the holy city in the Galilee, Jews eventually making their way further into Northern Europe and Eastern Europe. With all of that migration, the Zohar itself was spread. Eventually, the Zohar reaches the widest circles after Tzfat, through the ethical literature that emerged from Tzfat, mystical ethical literature, and then through Hasidism. So Hasidism spreads Kabbalah widely, but the Enlightenment, remember Hasidism is based in Eastern Europe, the Enlightenment in Western Europe wants to present a different kind of Judaism, wants to develop a different kind of Judaism in which superstition will be rejected, in which Jews will appreciate rationalism. Really what the Enlightenment is trying to do is to make a political statement and a social statement. It wants Jews to be accepted as members of the European community, and in order to make itself presentable to the Western world, the Enlightenment really rejected anything that seemed irrational, magical, superstitious. So that involved various elements in rabbinic Judaism, but especially Kabbalistic teaching. It wanted to do away entirely with ideas like reincarnation of the soul, or speaking about dibbuks or ghosts or hidden spirits. It tried to repackage Judaism, to reinvent Judaism as a purely rational doctrine, emphasizing Maimonides and rejecting the mystical. So there was a lot of tension between the Enlightenment, with a capital E, and the book of mystical enlightenment, the Zohar. Despite that, there was some attraction to certain mystical ideas, and eventually there were people who combined the approach of the Haskalah with the approach of the mystical stream. Martin Buber is one example of that. Any other questions from people who haven't had a chance to say anything yet? Please don't feel embarrassed to ask what you think might be very simple. Sometimes the simplest is the most profound, as we saw. How long did it take for Moses de Leon to write the Zohar? That we don't know. We don't know much about the life of Moses de Leon. We know that he died around the year 1305 or 1306. He was probably born around the year 1240. So he lived maybe 60, 65 years. I assume that he did most of his writing of the Zohar from the late 1270s, the mid 1270s to the 1290s, so maybe around 20 years. It took me 18 years to translate it, and I had help for the last couple of volumes. I'm not sure how long it took for him to write whatever he wrote of the Zohar. He had help from other Kabbalistic colleagues. But hopefully we'll find out a little bit more about him. Was the Zohar a complete work or unfinished? It's a good question. We now have the Zohar. You can see behind me on the shelf here 3 pretty well-worn volumes. The Zohar is usually printed in 3 volumes in Aramaic, and then there's another volume called Zohar Chadash, New Zohar. It's called New Zohar just because it was printed later. It's like a sequel that's really a prequel, because what's in the New Zohar is some of the oldest parts of the Zohar, but it's the manuscripts that were discovered after the 3 volumes were printed. But the Zohar certainly must have contained more. For example, in the book of Deuteronomy, you remember the Zohar is a commentary on the Torah, beginning from Genesis. By the time we get to Deuteronomy, there's very little Zohar. A lot on Genesis, a lot on Exodus, a good amount on Leviticus, less on Numbers, hardly anything on Deuteronomy. So either Moses de Leon got tired toward the end of his long project, or he wrote it and those parts of the Zohar disappeared, those manuscripts disappeared. The Zohar existed only in manuscript, as Rabbi Spitz said. For several hundred years, there was no complete Zohar in the Torah. There was Zohar in Genesis, Zohar in Exodus. There's also Zohar on the Song of Songs, by the way. You can imagine the Zohar's commentary on the Song of Songs. There you have an erotic, mystical commentary on the great erotic book of the Bible. It's a beautiful section. But the Zohar was really a collection. You could say it's almost an anthology. Eventually, scribes and editors and finally publishers created the entire Zohar on the Torah. We're still finding fragments and manuscripts that contain sections that have never been printed. See here, there are many chats, and I'll look at a couple of them here. The goal of the mystical life is to improve the real world back to Pshat. Yes, that's very helpful. One of the reasons the Zohar wants to come back to Pshat is so that we won't get lost, as I said, in that mystical stratosphere. The ultimate challenge is tikkun, repairing, mending oneself, mending the world. And to do that, you have to be able to engage people without a lot of the complicated mystical language of enlightenment.
This is how to get in shape fast. If you want to drop this, start eating more of these.
You might think this would take years to learn, but I'm going to teach it to you in 60 seconds. Watch this.
Visceral fat can cause inflammation. It can accumulate in the heart, in the muscles, in the liver. Visceral fat is like a direct line to metabolic and cardiovascular disease. This type of abdominal fat is associated with a higher risk of death. So how do we get rid of dangerous visceral fat? Well, it's a lot easier than you might think.
Am I the only one that didn't know this about visceral fat?
Some of it is what you can pinch around the midline. Some of it is a large fat apron. This is all visceral fat, and it is highly inflammatory. Literally, this inflammation caused by this inflammatory organ is killing us.
Did you know that you wear your health on your face and your body? And it's true, there are powerful biomarkers that you can visibly see, but you might not know what they mean and what they're telling you about your health.
I want to talk to you about something that's been making waves on social media lately. You've probably seen this guy all over your feed claiming that cutting carbs isn't necessary for weight loss. No need for long hours on the treadmill either. Now, I know it sounds too good to be true, but let me tell you, there's more to this than meets the eye. I decided to delve into this topic and do some research. Turns out this guy is a celebrity trainer who's gained a massive following for challenging mainstream advice. He claims that what we've been told about weight loss is wrong, completely wrong. And you know what? It makes a lot of sense when you listen to what he has to say.
This is what 10 pounds of fat looks like. If you want to drop this or more, you got to take your metabolism from this to this. For anyone out there who doesn't know their metabolic type, stop scrolling for just 1 second and listen up, please. Is your body trying to tell you something? The darkness of your outer eye ring, the pinkness of your fingernails, spider veins, veins on your eyelids, your posture, your waist size, your face shape, the list goes on and on. And what impacts these biological markers the most comes down to 2 words: visceral fat. What is visceral fat? It's been referred to as invisible obesity or radioactive fat because it's the hidden fat, the fat behind your abdomen, and the fat that's around your organs, and the fat that's toxic to every part of your body, basically erasing your vitality and stealing your strength. And I've been in the fitness industry a long time, and I'm still hearing from people about how they want to get in shape or they want to feel young again, but they don't know what to do. Well, it starts with getting rid of visceral fat, and the number one way to do that is through what you eat and how you move. And everyone knows that food choice can help you lose weight, but it can also radically change how you look and feel and perform. The food that you eat directly impacts what kind of fat your body stores and where it stores it. A little bit of that comes down to genetics, but it's also what you eat. Do you know what can happen if you optimize your diet?
2 days ago, I was the lightest I'd been since I was about 23.
Wow.
I've never experienced that with other diets. I've really not. I thought I was getting there with carnivore diet because I was like, oh, I can do this. I eat whatever I want. I just don't eat carbohydrates. I gained 12 pounds.
But how can you know what to eat? Well, there's a million different diets out there, all sending you mixed signals. I want to show you a way of eating that will help you optimize your results without having to follow some super strict, unbearable diet. And so if you're ready to stop guessing and start knowing, take our quick and easy quiz and discover our science-backed approach to just destroying your visceral fat. And millions of people have already taken this quiz and are seeing incredible results. This is our body type quiz. It's a free quiz. It's 6 different questions, super easy. It takes like literally 20 seconds. You can do it right now. And then at the end of it, it tells you what your body type is, but it also tells you the 3 most important things to do based on what your body type is, and it's completely free. And we won't ask for your email or anything like that. So if you guys want to check it out, click that link below, take my free body type quiz, and get your personalized plan right now.
Do it. Just get started now. Don't wait. Not tomorrow. Now.
What if I told you that there's no such thing as no internet connection, and that unlimited data actually doesn't cost more than 2 cinnamon lattes at Starbucks? Imagine having instant, high-speed internet access anywhere in the world without the hassle of expensive contracts or hidden fees. A visionary telecommunications engineer has made this dream a reality with a groundbreaking device that has major corporations scrambling to shut it down. Meet the portable Wi-Fi hotspot that's set to redefine your online experience. Offering unparalleled coverage far beyond what traditional providers can deliver, this device ensures you stay connected anywhere with ease. Its robust battery life keeps you online for up to 8 hours, free from the constraints of binding contracts or surprise charges. No wonder corporations despise this invention. Powered by cutting-edge chip technology, this device delivers a strong, reliable Wi-Fi connection for up to 10 devices simultaneously, whether you're relaxing at home or adventuring in a camper van by those sunny beaches. Once activated, enjoy seamless internet access in over 110 countries. No contract traps, no hidden fees, no data usage charges. In the age of inflation, this is how you save money. The invention of this device single-handedly threatens to destroy the entire industry of traditional internet providers that profit from charging you with hidden roaming fees. It was created by Richard, an engineer and a former cable internet employee from Atlanta, Georgia. After 7 years working as a technician for a state's cable internet operator, Richard learned that in 2010, Congress passed a new law that stops internet providers from encrypting their signals. In other words, the internet signal was made public as access to it was granted to everyone. Internet providers fought against this, and ever since this law came into effect, the Wi-Fi price has risen by roughly 5.8% each year. This is almost 3 times higher than the inflation rate. That's when Richard realized what was truly going on. He understood that traditional internet services were a complete ripoff. He cracked the encryption methods used by internet service providers to secure their signals and created an antidote for them. He created Ryoko, the ultimate portable lightning speed Wi-Fi hotspot that lets you get online almost literally everywhere. Because as Richard believes, access to the internet is a human right. His invention caught the eye of investors. They flocked to see whether this would create a cash grab opportunity for them. When an internet provider representative offered him $4.7 million to purchase the patent, Richard immediately declined. He knew that they wanted this product out of people's reach. But the corporations began threatening him with legal action and cease and desist orders. It was then that he realized the impact his invention could have. A group of talented engineers joined him in his battle against greedy internet providers. They perfected the device and prepared it to be available to the wide public. This lightweight device fits into your pocket, but it's supercharged with a Wi-Fi transmitter so powerful it works in even the most remote areas, which is the reason why it went viral.
Unbelievable.
Is the Zohar thought to be divinely inspired? Certainly the Kabbalah would see it as part of the giving of the Torah, right? There's the written Torah and the oral Torah. So the Zohar is appreciated as part of the oral Torah, the Midrash, rabbinic commentary, medieval thoughts, medieval speculations. The Zohar, the Kabbalah, is part of that rich stream of oral Torah. It's seen to be inspired. Of course, traditionally it's attributed to Rabbi Shimon, not to Moses de Leon. As I mentioned last week, if you met a Hasid, if you met any Kabbalist, and you asked when was the Zohar written, they would not say, they would reject the idea that it was written in Spain in the 13th century. They would insist that it was written 1,000 years earlier in the land of Israel, in the circle of Rabbi Shimon. So they believe that he wrote it perhaps while he was hiding out from the Romans in a cave. According to one tradition, Elijah came to him and to his son and taught them Torah every day, and that's the origin. I would say that it's Moses de Leon mostly, but that he is filled with some inspiration. Certainly he's beyond his normal state of consciousness, and that's partly why he could attribute it to this ancient Rabbi Shimon. Okay, we are really close to finishing. If there's anyone else who has a question, or if Ari or Ellie does, please do. Let me just say that we're going to have our third session of Gems of Zohar a week from tonight. If any of you want to continue with me, I teach a weekly online Zohar course called Zohar Zoom, and Ari will send out a description of that to you. We're beginning a series now, but another series will begin in mid or late August, and anyone who'd like can find information on that.
How does that class differ from Gems of the Zohar? Is it like, are you working through parts of the Zohar in order?
Yeah, we're actually going through the Zohar from the beginning. We began about 1.5 years ago with the first pages of the Zohar. Now, after 1.5 years, we're almost done with volume 1 of the Zohar Pritzker edition. We do, I think, about as much as we covered tonight, about 4 or 5 pages. It's not radically different. It's not that different than what we're doing here. I do occasionally refer to the original Hebrew or Aramaic. There are a good number of rabbis in the course. I think currently there are about 150 people, about 40 rabbis. I would say maybe 40 rabbis, 40 people who have very little background, and most people in the middle who know some Hebrew, who have studied some Jewish texts, but have never delved into Zohar. I teach it for people who have never studied Zohar before. I don't assume any prior knowledge of Zohar or even of Talmud, at least a little bit of Torah, but no, I don't assume any knowledge of Hebrew or Aramaic. The course description, which you'll send out to people, there you'll see links to some sample Zoom meetings of the course, and you can get an idea.
Okay. So it's 8:35. We'll call that a wrap for tonight. We'll get ready for next week. Is any advertising you want to get to what we'll be focusing on next week, or is it a surprise?
We're going to continue with the PDF. It's a passage also about levels of meaning of Torah, or the garments of Torah. But I don't want to say too much more about it now. Let me respond to one chat I just saw. Was the Zohar written in Muslim or Christian Spain? It was written in Christian Spain. At this point, toward the end of the 13th century, the Christians have reconquered much of Spain. So there are some interesting parallels between Christianity and the Zohar. Maybe we'll touch on those next week too.
Okay. So with that, I think we'll say good night to everybody. It's 8:30 Thursday. Don't forget, we have lots coming up in the next week. Professor Matt is back next Thursday for the final part in our 3-part series, same time. And we have our CSP music program tomorrow at 4 o'clock. We have Professor Paul Lips on Sunday at noon. If you're a member of CBI, we have our CBI Gala on Sunday. I look forward to seeing you all online later in the afternoon. And then we have the programs I mentioned. I will specifically reference now the Jacqueline Nichols, Learn Talmud Like an Artist. Daf Yomi, but from an artistic perspective, live from the UK. And Jack, for those of you who haven't heard me before, mention Jacqueline. She is the wife of Rafi Zarim, Rabbi Dr. Rafi Zarim, who's been a teacher for us already online. He'll be teaching us in August. With that, I will say good night to everybody. Have a great rest of your Thursday night. David Wilner, happy birthday again. Remember, we can celebrate you for the rest of the next few weeks. Miyavi Esrim. Unfortunately, that's getting close, David. Miyavi Esrim is getting close. David is 90, and the beautiful thing about learning online is we can all get together. No one has to drive home in the dark tonight, right, everybody? So enjoy. Have a late nightcap. Enjoy your Thursday night. Thank you, Professor Matt, and an early good Shabbos to everybody. Thank you for learning with us. David Silverman from New York, and Neil Eisenberg from somewhere on the East Coast. I think Philadelphia or New Jersey. And Lindy Kaiser from New York, and anybody else from the East Coast. Thank you for staying up late with us tonight. Bye, everybody.
Thank all of you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbos. Bye, Donna Wolf. Ingrid Gallons, good to see you learning mysticism. I see Phyllis Gilmore was here. Norman Rosen, nice background. Okay, everybody, go to bed.
And And that's because we're hungry for health. We're nutrient depleted because we're eating the wrong foods. We're eating highly palatable, addictive foods, and they're not food, they're drugs. And we have a pretty drug-infested population, and these are obesogens. So we have an obesity epidemic. People are overweight, and that's causing a lot of inflammation, cardiometabolic risk, and so we're less healthy overall. And then whatever pathogen hits us, if it's COVID, if it's cardiovascular disease, we're going to have sicker outcomes despite spending more money, because in a socialized population, getting their benefits through the healthcare system, they are investing in prevention. We don't invest as much in prevention here because it's a capitalist system. So it's fee for service. The system makes more money when you're sick. And so if you want to stay healthy, you have to invest in that and be smarter than the system.
So I just want to interject a few things here. A lot of this is brought up about the Mediterranean diet and about all this ultra-processed foods. Kind of to get through all this bull honky, the Dietary Commission has been overrun in America, that they're saying it is healthier to eat Fruity Pebbles than to eat steak or whole foods like potatoes. So the whole dietary guidelines have kind of been skewed way too much that way. The biggest thing we're missing, yeah, Catherine, you're right, it's the nutrient density of food. It's the zincs, the irons, the vitamin B12s, and especially protein. A lot of people are craving so much food due to their lack of bioavailable protein. Well, I'll just put it here for everyone, since I'm finishing up feeding cows on Sunday here, is beef. Beef has all those things I just listed. Zinc, iron, protein, B12 vitamins, all the things that the body is lacking in micronutrients is readily available in beef. And you don't have to eat a whole bunch, but a lot of people are cutting meats out thinking they're doing good, and they just can't satiate that hunger because of the lack of bioavailable protein in plant.
Absolutely, and no one is saying you Fruity Pebbles are more healthy than more natural foods. I think you were exaggerating for a fact, but hold on. Problem is, corporations control 70% of our food supply, and their interests are more for monetary gain. And yes, a lot of what we're eating is synthetic, but it goes back to we have to take personal responsibility. And you see it as you age. It gives benefits that you're stronger, you're able to function, your brain works, you are mobile, you aren't dependent on someone else or a drug. And we need to take that approach back.
But why can't we have government regulations to, like, say to certain companies, you can't put this in food?
Because we don't need to, okay?
We do need to, because people aren't going to make the best decisions. People aren't. People are going to go with what tastes good. People are going to go with the good marketing. People are going to, you know what I'm saying? So, people are not responsible. Not everybody is responsible. Like, so we shouldn't just...
Hampton, it takes a village.
Hold on. Like, even if there's a YouTube channel, they compare, like, the ingredients of, like, a McDonald's in France to the ingredients of America's McDonald's. Like, the level of ingredients that America's McDonald's have as opposed to France, like, it's insane. Like, there's all this stuff, like, in France, it's salt, potatoes, pepper. Like, that's literally it. But they're still able to have McDonald's. They're still able to have it. So why can't we do that here? And people can still have their McDonald's, but it won't have a whole bunch of fucking horrible shit in it that makes it addictive. Like, why can't we do that? We can have our junk food, I guess, but we can make it less unhealthy by having these horrible ingredients in it. Like, why can't we do both?
Hampton.
Go ahead, April. Thank you, Eric. I agree totally with you on that, and I think a lot of it has to do with, there's many compartments. One is, I think, the regulation oversight, where, and that allowing or telling the companies, like, you can't cut these corners here. But I wanted to just earlier, in terms of, like, buying, like, our fruits and vegetables, to a really good way to clean them off, like tomatoes, even our fruit, everything, we can put them in water with vinegar and baking soda. And that clears off a lot of like parasites and bacteria. So even if like I can't afford to go to like the super pricey, super organic, you're still going to have some kind of drifting on the wind. But regardless, vinegar and baking soda clear off a lot, and even lettuce, and it actually looks better after you take off all that crap.
So I just want to say this, I feel like it takes a village, Hampton, to your point. I feel like it's an opportunity to work on the family unit, designate the physically fit and the responsible person in the house to chain the refrigerator shut at night. Especially if you have those drive-by in the middle of the night, cake and cookie demons living in the house. Okay? Have you ever noticed on certain refrigerators, they have a locking feature? Have y'all ever noticed that?
No.
Have y'all ever noticed that? Okay, because again, y'all are too busy looking at that cake sitting up on that shelf as opposed to looking at the features up on the fridge. Okay? They have locking mechanisms on the fridge. Get a bicycle lock. Put it on the door and designate the person in the house that's the most responsible to open it up in the morning, so that way you don't have people sneaking snacks in the middle of the night. I mean, this is what I mean about holding each other accountable as opposed to burdening the system and, deploying the government to get a bunch of knuckleheaded fat people to do what they're supposed to do.
So do you think, you think the government should allow the horrible stuff that's in food to stay in there?
I think you should allow your responsible family member that knows how to best count their calories to chain your refrigerator shut.
Oh my gosh.
So Rudeman, have you studied the efforts that have been made to pass regulatory legislation regarding one's ability to buy pop and soda? Bloomberg tried this in New York. Do you remember when Michelle Obama tried to change what's in the kids' lunches at the public schools? Have you looked into this at all? Your idea is not a novel one. It's in fact.
Yeah, but they get pushback. They get pushback from the.
Tell us about the pushback. Right. Okay, tell us about that. So your concern is more with the PACs and the funding of the politicians and the lobbyists. And I think that's a valid concern. So that's where the root is. When you follow the money, you can see that the people we've elected to represent us are conflicted because they're getting a certain amount of money from these food companies. And those food companies are very highly incented because they're a for-profit to create shareholder returns. And so they hire the smartest chemists to create the most addictive foods, and they put these foods in labs and they test to see that you really can't eat just one, right? That you're going to have the whole bag if you could. And yes, you can try locking up the fridge, you can put warning labels on it, you can try passing legislation, but Americans don't want a nanny tax. They want, it's my body, it's my choice. And so if it is your body and you harm it and abuse it, we're also on the back end on Medicare paying for the chronic diseases and outcomes. And when Medicare really went broke is when we started covering dialysis. Okay, dialysis, if your kidneys go bad because of hypertension, diabetes, autoimmune issues, whatever the insult was to the kidneys, doesn't matter if you're old, you will get dialysis covered. And that is a big drain on Medicare's budget, and that's not what Medicare was intended to do. In fact, Medicare, plenty of people who are very highly salaried pay into Medicare, even though they don't need to take Medicare benefits when they're older. Dick Cheney has had 2 heart transplants funded by Medicare. I'm pretty sure he can afford to pay for his own heart transplant with his private insurance, right?
Two DUIs also.
Yeah, so I think we should really think about where's their waste, where is their, autonomy, and how can we keep a system more efficient that's value-based and where you get returns. And I think the truth is what I'm hearing in this room is many people are fine with, you know what, if you haven't saved the money for your health, you haven't made the better choices, you won't have as good outcomes. And that's your choice. But I do think we can do better where you shouldn't have to go bankrupt, right? And in countries where people are happier and have better health outcomes, there's a significant return on the health of a population when they don't have to struggle to access the healthcare system, when they don't have to fear the bill when they go to the emergency department. When your kid is up in the middle of the night with croup and is wheezing, and you're not sure if your health insurance premiums are paid because you're between jobs, you may stay home instead of bring that child in to be seen and examined. And that's where we can do a lot better. And I think that's probably what you're thinking about, Rudman, when you see other countries. Is I can tell you, when I went on a luxury vacation in the Caribbean last winter, the U.S. Virgin Islands, my captain of the ship we rented, they go to the British Virgin Islands to get health care because they don't have health insurance, chartering boats for people's entertainment. And that's the business he's in. He makes a good return on his time, but he doesn't have health benefits. So they go to the island where they're under the British socialized system to get health care. And
a lot of Canadians come here, Dr. Catherine, because their health care isn't available fast enough. It can take 6 months to a year to get an MRI. Maybe you have cancer and you're, getting advanced problems waiting for that. So,
a lot of workarounds to a system that's not working for a little bit of everybody. It's hard to create a healthcare system where everybody's needs are met. But I would say that if you have money, you can go to another country and be a medical tourist and get your stem cells, you can get your transplants, you can do whatever if you don't want to wait for the socialized system. And
Americans go to Mexico.
Private hospitals. Yeah, Americans, you can get Ozempic cheaper right now off the shelf than you can trying to get it at your Walgreens across the street. So there's a lot to learn in the healthcare system. And I can tell you, like, being on the front lines of it, being a patient, being a mom, being a wife, a mother, a daughter, I've seen how it can work really well, but also how it can really leave a lot of people not meeting all of their needs. So anyway, I think it's a good conversation. Thanks.
Right. And yeah, you made good points. And I think that starts with maybe not putting this unhealthy stuff in food so people aren't getting sick as often, and then healthcare costs wouldn't be so high. Like, I just think we can just from the seed of it make it so it's not, because there's so many, it's like a domino effect. You eat the bad food, the cheap food, and then you get sick, and then the costs go up, and then the country goes to country that, and like, there's just little tiny things that we could do, and I just don't understand why it's so hard to like ban ingredients, like ban certain ingredients, like just like I don't understand, like why
ingredients. What about the self-governance of not eating certain ingredients?
People aren't gonna do that though,
and that's their choice. Do you also want to ban alcohol and cigarettes?
No, but I'm just saying,
people should be able to choose to kill themselves with alcohol and cigarettes, but you want to ban on certain ingredients in food.
Well, with alcohol and cigarettes, there's age restrictions and there's regulations. Like, so there's regulations on it. Like, not like there's regulations on food. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like
I think this is such a spoiled conversation that we have in this country about. We should ban these substances that allow us to have calories to eat. For much of human history, it was, where was my next meal going to come from? How am I going to get enough calories to sustain myself? And now we're getting so picky and choosy that even though we have a world in which the food can last longer due to these preservatives, and I'm not saying that you should eat these things or shouldn't. You should be free to do that. But if you're comparing starvation to eating, an unhealthy diet, then yeah, take the unhealthy diet, because starving sucks.
Right, and Catherine and I did hear you. Yes, it's because of the lobbyists and stuff. That's why the ingredients are not changing. So, how do we fix it?
Wait, hold on. There's no market for this. Listen, like, if people wanted to eat healthy, we know where to find these healthy foods. They sell these healthy foods. And so the idea that people would be healthier if we ban these things, like, where is the demand for it? Where is the demand? Next time you go into a grocery store, you see the outer rim where you have the meats and the vegetables on the outside of the store, and then all the aisles where all the processed food is. Just go around your grocery store and go look at how many people you encounter that are making choices to buy the stuff. Look into their cart and see the types of choices that they're making. This isn't about whether we ban it or don't ban it. It's about people want to eat what they want to eat. They are addicted to salt and sugar, and now if you want to treat this, you're going to have to treat the demand for it. People are going to have to decide that, hey, I want healthier choices, because the healthier choices do exist. They've always existed, and people are rejecting the healthier choices.
Right, but that's what I was like. What Catherine was saying, these foods are made by very smart chemists that are putting the stuff in labs to make it as addictive as possible. So these ingredients are to make the food so addictive that people go to the center aisles. Like they're being chemically manipulated.
Yeah, just like fentanyl has been made synthetic to be more addictive.
Listen, I would be sympathetic.
There's a demand.
I would be sympathetic to this argument if I didn't know people that prioritize their health over these other choices. I know plenty of people that that eat very healthy diets and will only eat whole foods. And what it requires is discipline. It doesn't require government. It requires self-control. And what's interesting is that there's always seems to be this idea that, like, well, we lack self-control, so we need the government to impose something on us. I don't think it's going to work. And by the way, I don't want it to work that way. If somebody wants to choose to eat fucking cookies and drink soda all day, let them eat cookies and drink soda all day. Let them do that. Let them do that. They won't be happy at the end of their life. Look at Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando was a very good-looking man when he was younger, and then he decided as he got older, I've done it all. Fucking, I'm just going to eat a gallon of ice cream every day. And what happened? Marlon Brando turned into a big fat slob, and probably with a lot of pain in the last few years of his life. So, yeah, the idea that the government's going to save you from your poor choices, that's just a weird fucking thing. I don't want the government to have that much control over it.
See, I do, and this is like the different political.
The government can solve everything.
I don't think banning ingredients is having necessarily control. I think it's regulating things so people don't get sick and unhealthy, and then later when they get on Medicare, their cost will be offset to the taxpayers. Because
I recommend, I think you should go to Italy and have an excursion with a young lady and get married and live there. I think you'll be much happier. Or a young man. I don't know your preference.
It would be a young man, yeah.
Okay. There you go. You can do this. You don't have to live here. It is your body's choice.
I love this country. I don't want to leave.
But you're telling us you don't love the free choice and the autonomy that is, what our government is. You can see that there will be a change in administration. We will have a new FDA commissioner. They really want to make America healthy again. Yeah. Let's see what
you want to get rid of the FDA?
Yes.
No, we're not going to get rid of it. But I do think Marty McCart, he just wrote a book basically, scrutinizing the FDA, and now he's going to be in charge of the FDA. I can't wait to see what he's going to do. And Ruben, I think you are just, unfortunately, thinking about all the bad things instead of seeing all the good, all the possibility. And so I just want you to know you're young.
Yay, more money. It's all about money.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with money. Money can give you a better life. It can give you better access to healthy foods. It can help you help other people that you clearly want to help. You got to build your pocket, your stash of money, let it snowball, and then you can be like Warren Buffett and give your money away. But first you got to earn it. You got to grow it.
I got a question for Rude Man. Rude Man, what is stopping you today from eating healthy?
Nothing is stopping me right now from eating healthy.
So you don't need the government to tell you what to eat?
No, but I don't think the reason why I don't eat the best, because I'm sure the food that's not the best for me is being manipulated, so I'm addicted to it to keep going back and forth to get it. Now, I know that's like, oh, you have no personal responsibility. Yes, I know.
What did you have for breakfast? What did you have for breakfast?
so goddamn good and addicting and put all these chemicals in it, that's going to, yes, I have my own personal autonomy, but these chemicals are addictive. I mean,
what time is your next meal going to be?
I don't know.
I think the question needs to be asked, Roger, is what did he have for breakfast? We need to know.
Hold on. I want to get a little deeper into this.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Hold on. The next meal of the day. Are you? I don't want to dox where you're at, but I'm guessing you're on the East Coast, so it's probably 3 o'clock. What time are you
the West Coast. It's the West Coast.
Oh, you're on the West Coast? Okay, yeah. Fuck it. So, you had Carl's Jr. for breakfast, is that right?
Yes, I woke up. No, because I woke up late, so it was like 10:30.
Okay, so you ate at 10:30. So you ate an hour and a half ago. So, like, later in the afternoon, you'll eat again. Do you think you'll be cooking yourself a meal or eating out?
I don't cook, so I'll be eating out.
Where are you going to go to eat out?
I'm probably going to either go to Chipotle or go get a poke bowl from somewhere, one of my favorite poke bowl places.
Got it. So is there a reason why you're not taking more control of your diet and, like, buying groceries, healthy groceries, and making yourself something to eat?
I don't cook. I've never been a cooker. Frankly.
Wouldn't you learning how to cook be a wiser decision than us telling the government to restrict what you...
You don't have to know how to cook, sir. You can get egg whites. You can get anything you want from Costco in bulk. You can have grains.
Yeah.
It's easy.
A George Foreman
so
grill.
Much better. The food is, I guess what I'm saying is the food is so goddamn good at the places that I go to. That's why I go to them.
I'm going to interrupt you. It isn't good. It's good in your mind. But if you knew exactly what it was doing to you, you knew that your stomach is only as big as your fist, if you knew that you don't need to crave fat and all of the things that are in there and the high salt, you could change that in 21 days.
Oh, yeah, I can't even believe I'm doing this. In defense of Hampton, okay, Hampton is not the Hampton that he used to be, okay? Hampton can actually see his feet now, so he is losing weight, and, Hampton is losing weight, so, Hampton, just let it go. Just let it.
I think the person, Salone, in the chat said something interesting. This argument is so stupid. Chemicals should not be injected into natural food just so companies can make more money.
Yeah,
I think that
and Rude Man, I'd like to interrogate Sloane's diet too. Look, you can look at the PTR and you can see that it's not exactly like she's on a Whole Foods diet.
Oh my God! See, Roger, that type of, oh Lord.
Well, I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it fucking real.
Look, you can have personal responsibility, and you can also not have harmful chemicals being put in the food. You can still have profits, you can still have this, you can have that. Yes, I could make better choices with my food, but it's harder. It's harder. A lot of people go with the path of least resistance.
You can do hard things, Ruben. You can do hard things.
Hold on one second.
You really can.
Bring up DeGroot, Miss DeGroot. I've been trying to, and it's not letting me bring her up. But if you could try, David, that would.
I don't want the government to subsidize a healthier diet for me. How is me saying certain chemicals should not be in food the government subsidizing? How is that subsidizing? That is exactly
what you're saying. You were just saying the government should regulate what you're allowed to eat, and then you just admitted that you go eat Carl's food.
Not what we're allowed to eat, but it's in our food.
So, Rude Man, I got a proposal for you. Why don't we force the government, and this is not a real proposal, but let's just do a little thought experiment. The government will force everyone to go get blood work done, and when they find problems with their blood work, what we'll do is we'll put ankle bracelets on them, and we won't allow them to go to fast food restaurants. In fact, somebody like yourself that lives on fast food, what we'll do is we'll restrict your ability to go to buy it. How about that?
That's not at all what I'm advocating. That's not at all.
But why? That's what you're advocating. That's what the result will be. Regulating ingredients in food is not like the same way. Because over-regulation Overregulation of food, overregulation of current
Hampton
food
wants
products.
taxpayers to pay for the gov, to pay fast food corps, to force them to serve fresh foods with no stabilizers. He is a fat boy, low IQ.
They did.
Because of under-regulation.
No, they did, Hampton. The government stepped in. They gave you Ozempic. And I will say, second to, the weight loss that I've seen people go through in taking Ozempic, which, seems to be a miracle drug for, some people. I will say the best Halloween...
Hampton doesn't go to the gym. He creates ghetto YouTube vids and chats all on Townhouse all there.
All about the
Government.
I saw a few skeletons, a couple of scarecrows, a few sick birds. But yeah, y'all got it. If it doesn't work and y'all don't want to stop eating fast food, y'all can just stick yourself with those.
All right, hold on.
Government should mandate ingredients.
David, I'm sorry. Hold up. I just want to make sure, because the group's been trying to come up for a long time, and it wasn't letting me pull her up. I just want to create some space if she wanted to jump into this.
Aw, thanks, Roger. Yeah, I this is very interesting to me to hear. I don't want a rude man, but it's food. But it's easier for me to go through the drive-through, but the drive-through people should be sued because I should tell them how they make money.
They should be sued.
Or we should stop or dictate. Hold on, I'll fix it. We should dictate how that company operates, right? Instead of us controlling it by stop eating their food. I just don't understand. My question here is how many people today, I have a 42-week-old, it is snowing. This morning before church, we walked the track for 90 minutes, came home. My husband had my 6-year-old dressed. We went to church for an hour and a half. We dropped our son off at hockey practice. My infant's teething. Thank God he's finally put down and he's sleeping. How many people here have moved today?
I have.
Honestly, I genuinely, I have because I have, but I genuinely want to know, on your God or your children's life, how many people have moved today? Because this is the first thing. We're animals. We're meant to move. And what's quite terrifying is I think the study came out that most people spend 16 hours a day seated, or up to 16 hours a day seated while watching either TV or playing on their cell phone. And then not to mention that we sleep for 8 hours, right? So I just, let's start there. How many people are actually moving?
Right, Dell, they gonna get off the couch to prove a point, then you go see the headlines later.
I love it.
13 dead in Japan. I'm telling you, you go see it.
I don't know if we need to make a Telegram group where we take a picture where we can see the time and that we know y'all aren't pulling pictures from the past. I want to see you guys at the gym. We can do some calisthenics. We can do some yoga. We can do a little bit of weight training. Fucking move.
Okay,
but people who say, hold on, I've been trying to get out. People who say that food's addicting. You know what's addicting? Amish and Mennonite vegetables. Cheap as shit. Literally the cheapest food I've ever bought in my entire life come from the Amish and the Mennonites. They make most of their money on beef, right? So, you've never tasted a carrot. Tastes so much like a carrot. They use the least amount of synthetic pesticides than anybody else because they have different regulation. Because they have more than 500 people, they have their own regulatory rules. Thank the Lord for the Constitution and the right to assemble. They have the most affordable food, and it is so good. So my next thing is, are you guys willing to make the Amish and Mennonite rich? If you don't want your money to go to people who are poisoning you, how about go to your local farms or people who grow their own shit where you know what's in it? What's wrong with that?
I don't even know where to go about finding those type of people.
Google, honey. I don't want you to dox yourself.
You have to look first.
Yeah, no. I don't want. Don't. You're in California, and I do believe you're in Southern California. There are so many Amish colonies all throughout that area. I've done it for a couple people. Google Amish or Mennonite stores. And you will see them pop up. You might have to drive 30 minutes. I'll be honest. I know you're in California, and I get it, but do it. And you'll eat a carrot raw. Oh my God. colorful. They're so fucking vibrant. The food is dense.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't gone to a grocery store. I'm so serious. In months, my husband and I did a challenge to see if we can go 30 days without going into a Safeway, an Albertsons, any sort of grocery store whatsoever. And we were able to do it. And you know what? I breastfeed. We feed 3 mouths. It was cheaper. It is cheaper.
And there are farmers markets too, Ruben. If I just want to spit this out for a minute, we were, talking about Ruben, maybe his policies, but one thing he's trying to get across is there are carcinogens allowed in our foods in America that are not allowed in Europe. You can't use certain dyes. You can't use certain things that we know to be unhealthy. And there could be changes there. But I challenge you, Ruben, when I first had to do something at the gym where we had to lose weight and gain muscle, I had to change the way I ate for 3 months. And it just led me to believe, and I understood that my cravings for things were as much in my mind as more in my mind than actually needing them. So there are ways to change your lifestyles. It doesn't have to be punitive, and you will actually feel better, become synergistic. You feel better, you want to do it more.
Yeah, you're right.
Wait, hold on. In the chat, y'all do not ever say that I am chest feeding. I am breastfeeding my woman ovary fucking 42 postpartum ass. I am a child. I'm a woman barrier. Chest feeding is fucking crazy. Are we serious? Rogers, what is happening?
Do you really hear, have you heard someone say chest feeding to you?
In the chat, y'all have lost your mind.
Wait, hold on.
My vagina gave birth.
Hold on. Not too much on the chest feeders. We have one on the stage. We do have a chest feeder on the stage. Akima. I'm not going to hate on Akima today.
Okay.
I didn't realize there was some. Sorry about that. I was just curious.
Just for the record, yes, I do think personal responsibility is something that people should do, and I need to do it as well. So yeah, I'm not saying no, everything is their fault and I'm just a helpless victim. Like, no, like I could make better choices in food. I should do it. However, even if I was to get food from, if I'm going to a grocery store, not the Amish markets like you're saying, I'm actually looking into it right now. But even if I was to go grocery shopping, there is stuff at the grocery store in the meats, in the vegetables too, that are not good for us. And you know what I'm saying? There's preservatives in there too. Even if I was to go to the grocery store and make
walk around the outside edge, not the middle where it's the
right. Even
processed.
there.
No, there isn't.
The food. Yes, they're putting stuff in meat.
Okay.
No, they're not.
Hold on.
Rude
man. Like I said, I don't want you to dox yourself, but do me a favor. Call a farmer. I don't know your income. We don't need to display this, but again, this is what me and my husband did. We have a small freezer. It is actually cheaper to buy 5 chickens from a farm sometimes than it is to buy a turkey and a half on Thanksgiving. I kid you not. Bulk gives you kind of like Costco.
He can't cook.
Just listen. All I'm saying is those chickens are significantly smaller, but they're dense. This is an interesting concept, right? Because we don't pollute the chickens, and what we do is we pollute the chickens, they're less dense, and they're pumped with shit to make you think that you're getting more, when in reality, smaller, more dense foods is all you need. Then you get to lessen your portion size and still get the nutrients that's necessary and feel full. So I challenge you, hun. A chicken is easier. It's normally an hour per pound at 350. Go buy 3 chickens, right? Just pop it in the oven. It's super simple, darling. I have no problem walking you through. I will get on Chatter and video chat with you and show you how to make a fucking chicken. Super easy.
I was gonna say, if you can get on Clubhouse or Chatter or anything, you can cook. It's not gonna be a Michelin 5-star, but it's gonna be way better than whatever you're finding at Carl's Jr. for breakfast.
It is. Chop
way
up
simpler and easy.
Chop up some tomatoes, throw a little bit of olive oil in it, chop up an onion, put it inside of the oven, an onion and some carrots, and put it inside of the oven at 350 for 45 minutes. Now you've got roasted tomato, you've got carrots, you've got onions, you can put in some garlic, you've got some chicken, and that's an amazing meal. And that's all you need. And if you're hungry, you can have some raw oats and some probiotic yogurt. That's it. That's really all we need to be eating unless you're working in labor.
And
that's
food is love. And you can laugh at me now, but I can make scrambled eggs fresh in the microwave in the bowl that I'm eating out. Okay?
If your eggs don't have chicken shit on the shell when you're buying them, don't buy them.
Yeah.
Hammy is a complainer.
That should be a commercial.
It's a fact. I mean, but Hampton, I'm so serious. I will get on Chatter with you, hon. I will show you how to cook. It's simple and it's fun and it tastes so good.
And if that doesn't work, I'll prescribe you Ozempic. You can come see me at my office. We can put it on the Chatter or the universe of Clubhouse or whatever you guys.
That's where Nelson and I disagree.
Okay.
I want to get on Ozempic. I would try it right now. I don't even know where to find it. But yeah.
Ozempic is killing people. Are we serious?
No, it's not. No,
yes,
it is not killing people.
Shut up, Mr.
You're full of
shit. Why are you single if you cook so well?
Bruno, I've been married for 11 years. I think you're vagina riding me. You're just pissed off because you're a lower person as a man than myself as a woman. Married 11 years, 2 children. Go suck a dick. Thank you.
God.
You want to suck a dick? I know that.
I suck my husband's dick every fucking night. It's fantastic. I already have a dick to suck. Do you need one? Every night. Absolutely. And?
It's those Amish vegetables. Give them more energy.
You called it a carrot, but I guess it's not. It's more than a carrot.
I like Misty Groot. You're on my team, girl. You're hilarious. And the other lady that you were talking about, like, all the points are so good. Like, I would say definitely, I think it's great to encourage Hampton, and for real, dude, like, you'll feel better being proactive and taking control of how you're going to approach your health. And, like, if you like burgers, you could get some spices and, or go to even like a halal, butchers are real good, or some places will have, like, where a lot of people that hunt will come to, like, a butcher shop. You could find a real butcher shop. You get yourself, like, a George Foreman grill and make yourself some burgers or something,
And actually, Ruth,
is this really happening?
Yeah, Ruth, you said that you would go to Chipotle as a choice. You can eat healthy at Chipotle.
Yeah, no, Chipotle.
I don't think that's a terrible.
Yeah, it's not. Chipotle is actually one of the healthier.
Is this really happening?
Fast food places, yeah.
Get some frites in a bowl, no rice.
No rice. Oh no, you have to have the rice, the white rice, not the brown. I can't stand brown rice.
If you're gonna have burgers, why don't you just go to In-N-Out?
Brown rice is better for you.
That was such a plain ass. Well, the thing